Chapter 237. Lu Yuan stomped his foot and shot out like an arrow. Zhao Wuji's martial soul was the Herculean Vajra bear. His defense and strength were strong, but speed was his weakness. First soul skill, Golden Dragon Fist. With the Golden Dragon Fist, his strength increased by 130%, while his speed and defense increased by 65%. In this way, Lu Yuan's attack was even more powerful. Spear technique, vast ocean. The spear pierced out, and it was as if a huge wave was surging out. A vast ocean intent instantly enveloped Zhao Wuji's entire body. What kind of power is this? Zhao Wuji was shocked. Under the pressure of this vast ocean-like aura, his own aura weakened a little. This was the power of intent. It had a huge suppressive effect on soul masters who didn't control intent. At the same time, it could increase one's attack power. The golden dragon spear pierced towards Zhao Wuji with a sharp cold light. First soul skill, unmovable deity body. A golden light surged from Zhao Wuji's body, and an invisible wave of air surged out. Humph! Blocked by the air waves, Lu Yuan snorted and directly tore it apart. Then, he stabbed his spear towards Zhao Wuji. Puchi! The golden dragon spear and Zhao Wuji's body came into contact. Zhao Wuji's unmovable deity body, which had always been invincible, was actually penetrated by the golden dragon spear. An intense pain surged into Zhao Wuji's mind. Second soul skill, Herculean Vajra Palm. Zhao Wuji immediately unleashed his second soul skill in pain. A golden palm made of energy slammed down towards Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan tapped his foot and activated the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions. His body flashed like a feather and dodged Zhao Wuji's sharp attack. Again, Lu Yuan yelled as he pounced forward with his golden dragon spear in hand. Good! Zhao Wuji also waved his palm and slapped towards Lu Yuan. He too slow. Lu Yuan's body split into 6 and instantly enveloped Zhao Wuji. The 6 figures quickly moved around Zhao Wuji, and Zhao Wuji completely lost track of Lu Yuan. Which one is real? Is this it? Zhao Wuji slammed his palm towards a silhouette. Instantly, the silhouette shattered. It was just an afterimage. Lu Yuan waved his golden dragon spear through the air, inflicting another wound on Zhao Wuji's body. This was his advantage. With his golden dragon spear, he could completely disregard Zhao Wuji's defenses and break through them at will. On top of that, he was so fast that Zhao Wuji couldn't even track him down, but he could kite Zhao Wuji and leave one wound after another on his body. Roar! Zhao Wuji was annoyed by Lu Yuan's attacks, so he directly used his third soul skill, gravity amplification. Immediately, an enormous force enveloped Lu Yuan's body, and Lu Yuan's figure suddenly slowed down. Mighty King Kong Palm. Zhao Wuji's huge palm slapped down towards Lu Yuan. Golden Dragon Armor. Lu Yuan shouted, and golden armor immediately enveloped Lu Yuan. Vast Sea Universe. Lu Yuan raised his golden dragon spear, and the sharp spear intent contained in the Vast Sea Spear Art's strongest move, the Vast Sea Universe, collided with Zhao Wuji's mighty King Kong Palm. There was a loud bang and dust filled the air. Lu Yuan's body flew backwards, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Zhao Wuji didn't hold back this time, and almost used all his strength. After a series of collisions, Lu Yuan was slightly injured. However, Zhao Wuji wasn't any better. Spear intent was extremely sharp, and there was nothing it couldn't pierce. Its penetrative power was extremely strong, and in addition to the golden dragon spear's ability to break through defenses, Zhao Wuji's palm was pierced through. Lu Yuan channeled the esoteric character slightly, and this small injury was immediately healed. Once again, Lu Yuan fearlessly pounced forward. To the golden dragon, battles were very simple. No matter who the opponent was, all he had to do was to charge forward and fight. Sky-raising strike. With the golden dragon armor's speed enhancement and immunity to negative statuses, Lu Yuan temporarily broke free from Zhao Wuji's gravity enhancement. He kited Zhao Wuji again, and while Zhao Wuji wasn't paying attention, he punched out with his left fist and used the sky-raising demonic ape's external soul bone skill, Sky-Raising Strike. This punch was quite powerful, and it directly sent Zhao Wuji into the air. Lu Yuan stomped on the ground again, and the ground cracked. Lu Yuan's body instantly jumped high into the air, and his golden dragon spear swept viciously towards Zhao Wuji's body. A large crater appeared on the ground, and Zhao Wuji's body was lying in the crater. Lu Yuan gently landed on the ground, and stood not far away from Zhao Wuji. Gasp! 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 3 sharp breaths sounded at the same time, and they looked at Lu Yuan with shock in their eyes. It was as if they were looking at a monster. Lu Yuan looked at the incense not far away, and saw that it was already half burnt. He turned his gaze towards Zhao Wuji again. He knew that although Zhao Wuji was in a sorry state this time, he wasn't seriously injured. Zhao Wuji's skin was extraordinarily thick, and without his golden dragon spear, Lu Yuan wouldn't have been able to break through his defense so easily. Zhao Wuji crawled out of the crater, and his face was covered in dust. There was a hint of anger in his eyes. Good kid, not bad. But I'm going to be serious next. Second soul skill, Mighty Vajra Palm. A huge energy palm slammed down towards Lu Yuan. This time, it was much stronger than before. Zhao Wuji really didn't hold back. Just what I want. Lu Yuan smiled. Not only did he not dodge, but he also charged towards the huge palm. After all, he had the secret word, and he wasn't afraid of being injured. Bang! 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 The two of them were like human-shaped savage beasts, and the entire field was changed beyond recognition. Even the soil in the ground was overturned. Fourth soul skill, Locator Tracking. Zhao Wuji roared and activated his fourth soul skill. This soul skill could lock onto an attack, making it impossible to dodge. It couldn't be helped. Lu Yuan's figure was too slippery, and Zhao Wuji couldn't catch him. Want to control me? Dream on. Second soul skill, Golden Dragon War Body. Lu Yuan shouted, and his 1,000-year soul ring shone with purple light. The effect of the Golden Dragon War Body was to increase one's defense by 200% and nullify all control-type skills. Zhao Wuji's Locator Tracking was also a type of control-type skill, so it lost its effect on the spot. Huh! Zhao Wuji was stunned. Locator Tracking actually lost its effect. Take this! Lu Yuan shouted, and his third soul ring shone with a deep light. Third soul skill, Heaven-Ripping Golden Dragon Claw. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge golden dragon claw fiercely clawed at Zhao Wuji. It carried a sharp edge that could crush everything, and Zhao Wuji couldn't help but feel a chill. If he didn't deal with this move properly, he was afraid that his stomach would be cut open. When Lu Yuan had just absorbed his soul ring, he was able to break through the defense of all defense-type soul masters below the Soul Emperor level when he was at rank 33. Now that he was at rank 39, the power of this move could even injure a soul sage. Of course, it was only an injury. However, it was a huge threat to Zhao Wuji, who could only use his first 4 soul skills. Chapter 238. How was a soul sage stronger than a soul emperor? It was the martial soul true body. The gap between a soul emperor and a soul sage was as big as the gap between a soul Douluo and a titled Douluo. The gap might even be bigger. This was because of the martial soul true body. Many talented soul masters could defeat ordinary titled Douluo when they were soul sages, but it was very difficult for them to defeat a soul Douluo when they were soul emperors. Why was that? It was because of the existence of the martial soul true body. The stronger the martial soul, the stronger the martial soul true body. For example, powerful martial souls like the Golden Dragon and the Six-Winged Angel were comparable to titled Douluo once they became soul sages. They could even defeat them. This was because the strength of their martial souls would only be revealed when they were in the martial soul true body state. If they couldn't use the martial soul true body, a soul sage would only have a few more ranks of soul power than a soul emperor. There wasn't much of a difference between a soul emperor and a soul king. In particular, a soul sage who could only use the first 4 soul skills was similar to a soul emperor. It was impossible for a soul emperor not to pay a price if he wanted to receive Lu Yuan's golden dragon sky-ripping claw. Zhao Wuji had a serious expression on his face. He could really feel a strong sense of threat from this skill. If he only used the first 4 soul skills, he might not be able to block it. When his life was threatened, Zhao Wuji decisively removed the restriction on himself. 6th soul skill, Mighty Vajra Roar. Zhao Wuji's 6th-ranked 10,000-year soul ring suddenly shone. A huge bear projection bent down and let out a deafening roar. Dust flew into the air and space seemed to tremble. A huge sound wave clashed with Lu Yuan's golden dragon sky-ripping claw. The golden dragon sky-ripping claw was also an energy attack. Since it was an energy attack, it could be destroyed by a soundwave soul skill. The mighty Vajra roar clashed with the golden dragon sky-ripping claw. The 2 attacks were in a deadlock. One was a terrifying soul skill from a 15,000-year dark golden terrorclaw bear, while the other was a 6th soul skill from a class 76 soul sage. Which one was stronger? The 2 energies began to clash and cancel each other out. In the end, Zhao Wuji's vigorous Vajra roar came out on top. It wasn't that the heaven-ripping golden dragon claw wasn't powerful, but rather that Lu Yuan's rank was still too low. If Lu Yuan could break through to the soul ancestor realm and gain another 10,000-year soul ring, then the outcome of this battle would be uncertain. No matter what, a soul sage who had used his 6th soul skill was no longer comparable to a soul emperor. In particular, Zhao Wuji wasn't rank 71 or 72, but a rank 76 soul sage. His 6th soul skill was naturally very powerful. The golden dragon heaven-tearing claw was torn apart, and the remaining mighty Vajra roar attacked Lu Yuan. Unpredictable storm. The golden dragon spear gently swept through the air in a circle, and the remaining shockwaves from the Vajra roar were instantly erased. After all, how could the sea god's divine skill be ordinary? The incense hadn't finished burning yet, but the battle was already over. Zhao Wuji had already used his 6th soul skill, but from the looks of it, he still couldn't do anything to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's final circle made Zhao Wuji unable to see through it. The unpredictable storm contained the profundity of space. This was a very profound thing. Even though Lu Yuan could use the unpredictable storm to unleash it, he still only knew a little about the profundity of space. This was something he had slowly gained some understanding of when he was practicing the unpredictable storm in the Great Star Do Forest. After all, the laws of space were still too profound. In the entire Douluo continent, Gu Yuna was probably the only one who was proficient in this aspect. After all, she was the Silver Dragon King and controlled the power of the elements. Space was also one of the elements. Thinking of Gu Yuna, Lu Yuan's emotions were slightly complicated. He missed her a little, but he also felt a little conflicted. It was a strange feeling. However, he had a premonition that it would be very difficult for him to get rid of Gu Yuna in this lifetime. Their fates were destined to be intertwined. "You win," Zhao Wuji said softly. His expression was very calm, but there was an unconcealable shock in his eyes. The brat in front of him was definitely comparable to a soul emperor, especially that golden dragon sky-ripping claw. Its attack power was too strong. If a soul emperor was careless and hit, he would definitely be injured. If his defense wasn't strong enough, he might even die. Hearing this, Lu Yuan nodded slightly. His face was a little pale because he had exhausted too much of his soul power. He had already fought for a long time. At most, he had half of his soul power left. Even with the clear Qi scripture, he only had 60% of his soul power left. In the end, he had released the golden dragon sky-ripping claw and then used the unpredictable storm. These two were very powerful, and they had almost exhausted Lu Yuan's soul power. Lu Yuan still had the blood energy from his bloodline to replenish his soul power, so he could still stand. Otherwise, he would have already collapsed. However, without soul power, he didn't have many methods to use now. If he continued fighting, he would definitely lose. In the end, he was still a rank 39 soul elder. It was still too difficult for him to win against a soul sage. He estimated that when he reached rank 40, he would have a fourth soul ring, and his clear chi scripture would reach another level. Then, he could use the power of his polychoria to fight with Zhao Wuji. Even if he couldn't win, he should be able to force Zhao Wuji to use his martial soul true body. He wouldn't be forced to use his sixth soul skill like today. Although this was enough to make him proud. In terms of overall strength, he should be about the same as a soul emperor. However, he was only talking about those stronger soul emperors. For example, the best combination of soul emperors. Ordinary trash soul emperors wouldn't be his match. Of course, the above victory and defeat didn't take the god-slaying spear into consideration. If he had used the god-slaying spear, he was sure that Zhao Wuji would have died today. However, he was afraid that he would be greatly affected. Before he fully grasped the god-slaying spear, he would hurt both others and himself. Hiss, he actually won? Dai Mubai's eyes were a little dazed. Lu Yuan's strength was far beyond his imagination. He actually forced teacher Zhao to use his sixth soul skill, and from the looks of it, he didn't seriously injure him. No wonder he was able to send me flying with just a casual punch. The difference in strength between them was too big. Could this be the terror of a 10,000-year third soul ring? It shouldn't be entirely so. Maybe there was a factor in this guy's strength. He didn't believe that a 10,000-year soul ring could have such a performance. This could only mean that Lu Yuan was very strong. Sigh, it seems like I can't get back at him for breaking my hand. I can only find that damn fatty to vent my anger. Dai Mubai said softly. After seeing Lu Yuan's strength, he no longer had the idea of beating up Lu Yuan to get back at him. However, he could still beat up Ma Hongjun after his injuries were healed. Not far away, Ma Hongjun and Oscar, who were secretly watching, opened their eyes wide and were full of shock. Wow, this new junior is really something. It seems like a true dragon has come to our Shrek Academy. Oscar exclaimed in amazement. You dare to call him junior? Ma Hongjun said. If you don't call him junior, what are you going to call him? Oscar asked curiously. Of course I'm going to call him boss. With him protecting me, Boss Dai won't dare to bully me anymore. Ha 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 ha. Ma Hongjun laughed and squinted his small eyes. Shameless fatty, no integrity. Oscar's disdainful voice sounded. Chapter 239. Ding. Mission completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a limitless 10,000-year soul ring and a 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear's right palm bone. Lu Yuan's lips curled into a smile when he heard the system's voice in his mind. He was happy to receive the reward, but he was also happy to fight this battle. This kind of head-on battle was the most suitable for him. As a possessor of the Golden Dragon martial soul and the Golden Dragon bloodline, Lu Yuan's body was filled with the desire for battle. A battle, especially a battle to one's heart's content, was truly a delightful thing. It was a pity that he was too strong. Since his debut, there were very few people his age who could be his match. Qian Renshua wasn't too bad. She should be a soul king now, and her fighting strength should be about the same as Lu Yuan's. But if they really fought, Lu Yuan could beat her. Of course, that was if he used his polychoria. But Chihiro Snow was his woman. He didn't even have enough time to dote on her, so how could he fight her? What about his other women? Hulina had already been surpassed by him in the past. Zhu Zhuqing's soul power was even lower than his, so there was no need to mention her. As for Gu Yuna, they could talk about her later. Lu Yuan was still miles away from her. Furthermore, she wasn't from the younger generation. There was probably no one older than her in the entire Douluo continent. Of course, relationships had nothing to do with age. Among the younger generation, there weren't many who could be his match. Back then, Lu Yuan had practically pinned the students of the Heaven Do Imperial Academy to the ground and beat them up. Compared to the current Lu Yuan, the Martial Soul Palace's golden generation was also beaten up. AI being invincible is really a little lonely. He could only fight against a soul master of the older generation like Zhao Wuji. The only soul master of his generation who could injure him was that evil soul master, Soul Devil Feather. Lu Yuan felt that this person wasn't simple. He was definitely not old, at most 17 or 18 years old, but he was already at rank 48. He was already stronger than Hulina before her martial soul evolved. It's a little ridiculous. Furthermore, evil soul masters have always been very strange. One had to know that where there was light, there would be darkness. Some people thought that evil soul masters only existed in the Fighting 2 world, but that was not the case. Where there was light, there would be evil. This kind of thing could not be cut off. Evil soul masters had existed since ancient times. It was just that they didn't have this name back then. However, no matter what, such a bloody and cruel cultivation method definitely existed. According to the ancient records in the Martial Soul Palace, when the evil soul masters had wreaked havoc on the continent, it was the angel god who had appeared out of nowhere. He had used his boundless divine power to dispel the evil and avert the disaster of the evil soul masters, allowing light to shine on the continent. In the end, he had established the Martial Soul Palace and established a system to manage the continent and monitor evil. He had gathered the faith of the entire continent and created his own divine seat, becoming the six-winged angel god. It could be said that this was the origin of the Martial Soul Palace. It was not difficult to discover that the existence of evil soul masters was actually quite terrifying. If the angel god had not appeared out of nowhere, perhaps humanity would have been shrouded in the nightmare of evil soul masters for a long time. Today's evil soul masters definitely had scattered organizations on the continent, but they were all under the supervision of the Martial Soul Palace. Most of them were in the Massacre City. The existence of the Massacre City was actually a good thing for the Douluo continent. One could only enter and not leave, unless one passed through the Hell's Road. Basically, evil soul masters who entered could only die of old age inside. It was a pity that it was destroyed by Tang San in the original book, causing the overflow of evil soul masters in the future. Other than that, there should be no evil soul masters on the Douluo continent. But if there were no evil soul masters on the Douluo continent, then what about other continents? Thinking of the Sun-Moon continent in the original book, were there any evil soul masters on this continent? Lu Yuan did not know. But he knew that the strength displayed by Soul Devil Yu was definitely not that of a scattered evil soul master. Instead, it was very likely that he was a genius cultivated by an organization of evil soul masters. This conjecture rang the alarm bell in Lu Yuan's mind. Evil soul masters were a group that could not be allowed to grow. Otherwise, whether it was soul masters, civilians, or even the entire continent, they would be a threat. This had nothing to do with one's position, but something that every soul master should do. Thinking of Soul Devil Yu, Lu Yuan had a premonition that he would definitely meet him again. Although he had been directly destroyed by his own polychoria, it was not because he was weak, but because his polychoria had just awakened, and its divine power was awe-inspiring. But now, its divine power was restrained, and even the current Lu Yuan could not reproduce that divine power. Back then, he did not understand and only thought that the power of that polychoria was comparable to a soul emperor's. But now, it seemed that even Zhao Wuji would have a slim chance of survival against that chaotic light when his polychoria had just awakened, even if he had activated his martial soul true body. Lu Yuan estimated that his polychoria would be able to release that powerful power again when he became a soul emperor. As Lu Yuan was thinking, Zhao Wuji's voice rang out. Ma Hongjun, stop hiding and peeping. Bring Lu Yuan to his room. Oscar, use your recovery sausage to heal us. After Zhao Wuji said that, Ma Hongjun and the rest could not hide anymore, and all ran out. Dai Mubai looked at Ma Hongjun and gritted his teeth as he said, "Damn fatty, you've got guts. See how I'll settle accounts with you in the future." Hee, Boss Dai, I was just joking. Ma Hongjun chortled, but he was a little afraid. When he saw Dai Mubai being beaten up, it was really satisfying. But after that, there was a problem. What if Dai Mubai wanted to settle accounts with him? Sigh, I was only thinking of letting Lu Yuan beat Dai Mubai up, and did not think so much. It seems like I'm in trouble now. However, his eyes suddenly lit up when he saw Lu Yuan. As long as I hug this thigh, I won't have to be afraid of Dai Mubai. Come, Boss Lu, I'll bring you to your dorm. Ma Hongjun had a flattering smile on his face, and he was exceptionally attentive. This damn fatty. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun had known each other for a long time, and he immediately guessed what Ma Hongjun was thinking. He wanted to hug Lu Yuan's thigh. However, Dai Mubai did not have any good ideas. This fatty was shameless, and he could not stop him if he wanted to hug Lu Yuan's thigh. Furthermore, his hand was still fractured. Under Ma Hongjun's lead, Lu Yuan arrived at his dorm. Lu Yuan was a person who liked peace and quiet. Otherwise, he would not have stayed in the Lake of Life for a year. Apart from cultivating, he could only tease Wang Qiu'er, the three-eyed golden lion. At most, he would chat with Guyuna. Normal people would not be able to tolerate such a life, even if the Lake of Life was very beautiful. No matter how beautiful the scenery was, one would get tired of it after looking at it for a long time. However, Lu Yuan could tolerate it, and he was very calm. Chapter 240. Lu Yuan naturally stayed in a dormitory alone. Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing were his women, so it was fine for them to sleep together. However, he definitely could not accept sleeping with Oscar and Ma Hongjun. Lu Yuan found a small wooden house that looked good. The surroundings were very quiet and he was quite satisfied. He liked this kind of quiet atmosphere. Boss Lu, this is your dormitory. Didn't you say that you like quiet? This is the quietest place. Ma Hongjun said. Let me tell you, Boss Lu. Ma Hongjun lowered his voice and said, You're quite close to the female dormitory. It's a pity that our school doesn't have any female students yet. Ma Hongjun said with a hint of regret in his voice. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's mouth twitched. So, Ma Hongjun, what do you mean by telling me this? Do you want me to peep in the middle of the night? Am I that kind of person? Moreover, I have girlfriends, okay? Now I have roughly 3.5. Chihiro Snow, Hulina, Zhu Zhuqing, and half of Guyuna. Which one of them isn't the best in the world? Do I need to do this kind of thing? As for why Guyuna counts as half of one, it hasn't been completely decided yet. Feelings can come slowly, there's no rush. With so many girlfriends, why would I peep in the middle of the night? I have very high standards. Lu Yuan coughed and said, Dai Mubai said that you were lying to me at the beginning. What explanation do you have? Ma Hongjun was shocked. He smiled and said, Boss Lu, I was just joking this morning. Don't mind. I don't mind. Lu Yuan looked at Ma Hongjun with a smile that didn't look like a smile. He said, I'm just afraid that Dai Mubai will mind. Ma Hongjun's expression changed. He looked at Lu Yuan with hope in his eyes. Boss Lu, why don't you help me? Hey, this is your own problem. You have to settle it yourself. Lu Yuan chuckled and closed the door with a thud. He couldn't be bothered with the matter between Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. Let them make a fuss on their own. The bigger the fuss, the better. When it really got out of hand and Ma Hongjun was about to suffer, he would step in and gain Ma Hongjun's gratitude. Wouldn't that be wonderful? It was like a person who had nothing to eat. If you gave him food at the beginning and after he had been hungry for a few days, the effect would be vastly different. Providing timely help would leave a deeper impression on others. As for whether or not this would make Dai Mubai unhappy, Lu Yuan did not even consider it. Dai Mubai was his real enemy. Whether he was happy or not had nothing to do with Lu Yuan. On the contrary, if he was unhappy, Lu Yuan would be happy. What was his purpose in coming to Shrek? Weren't they just trying to divide Shrek's 7 monsters? His purpose was to separate Tang San and Dai Mubai from the rest of the 7 monsters. He was destined to be enemies with Tang San and Dai Mubai, but he could rope in the rest of the 7 monsters. The most important ones were Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong. Zhu Zhuqing was already his woman, and her martial soul had evolved. The netherworld white tiger had already disappeared. As for Ning Rongrong, it was not difficult for him to rope her in with his methods. Without Ning Rongrong, Tang San would not even have the funds to establish the Tang sect in the future, let alone mass-produce hidden weapons. This would also reduce a lot of trouble for the Martial Soul Palace. After all, even though Tang San's hidden weapons were useless against him, they were still very threatening to ordinary soul masters. Without hidden weapons, ordinary soldiers would not be able to resist the might of the Martial Soul Palace's Soul Master Legions. In fact, it was enough to rope in the 2 of them. However, if he could rope in Ma Hongjun and Oscar to his side, he would not reject them. This was especially so for Oscar. Even though he was only a food-type soul master, his enhancement in battle could not compare to Ning Rongrong's 7 treasures glazed pagoda, let alone the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. However, in a battle, a high-tier food-type soul master would be more useful than an auxiliary-type soul master. As long as he became a soul sage, he would be able to feed an army of tens of thousands. This was very shocking. Furthermore, Oscar was a food-type soul master with innate full soul power. This was unprecedented in the history of food-type soul masters. As long as he cultivated to the titled level, he would be able to take the test of the culinary god and become a god. It could be said that Oscar was the only one among Shrek's 7 monsters with the potential to become a god apart from Tang San. Of course, if he had to choose between Oscar and Ning Rongrong to be his battle partner, he would definitely choose Ning Rongrong. This was because the 7 treasures glazed pagoda's enhancement in percentage was the greatest for Lu Yuan's abilities. Oscar's soul skills did not increase Lu Yuan's fighting strength by much. In the final battle, it would still depend on one's abilities. Wasn't the Battle of the Gods still the deciding factor of the final battle in the original novel? With him around, he firmly believed that the final victory would still belong to the Martial Soul Palace. Even if Shrek's 7 monsters were still a single entity and could still grow like in the original novel, they would still be defeated by him in the end. He was confident about this. However, if he did this, the Martial Soul Palace's strength would inevitably suffer a greater blow. Since there was a chance to reduce the number of casualties, and even nip the threat in the bud, why not do it? As Lu Yuan thought about this, a light flashed in his hand, and a golden soul bone appeared in his hand. This was a golden right palm bone. The 5 sharp claws on it flickered with a dazzling cold light. One could only imagine how sharp it was. The dark golden Terraclaw bear's right palm bone. This will increase my abilities once again. Lu Yuan muttered to himself. This dark golden Terraclaw bear's right palm bone was definitely much more powerful than the Heaven Demon Ape's left palm bone. After all, the Heaven Demon Ape was only a top-ranked soul beast, while the dark golden Terraclaw bear was a transcendent soul beast. Furthermore, the dark golden Terraclaw bear's forte was its offensive strength. With the dark golden Terraclaw bear's element, even if it wasn't ultimate gold, it was very close. As for how strong a true ultimate gold's offensive strength was, Lu Yuan wasn't sure. However, it was definitely beyond his imagination. They were both ultimate elements, but Lu Yuan felt that ultimate gold might be more terrifying than ultimate fire and ultimate ice. As for the reason, he didn't have it. It was just his intuition. Lu Yuan placed the dark golden Terraclaw bear on his right palm and started to circulate his soul power. Suddenly, the dark golden Terraclaw bear's right palm bone melted into a pool of golden liquid under the effect of Lu Yuan's soul power. This liquid slowly enveloped Lu Yuan's right hand. It was very painful. It was much more painful than absorbing the heaven demon ape's palm bone. As for the golden dragon armor, it didn't hurt at all. This was because the golden armored dragon turtle had willingly allowed itself to be absorbed by Lu Yuan. This was completely different. However, even though it was painful, it was still within the limits of Lu Yuan's tolerance. Half an hour later, Lu Yuan opened his right hand and 5-foot-long claws extended from Lu Yuan's hand. There was a sharp cold light on the claws. He waved them gently and the claws touched the floor. Without using any soul power, 5 deep claw marks appeared on the floor of the room. It was like cutting tofu. There was no resistance at all. Is this the dark golden Terraclaw bear? Lu Yuan muttered to himself. It's indeed very sharp. Chapter 241. 1 year later. Huff huff. On a country road outside Shrek Academy, Lu Yuan wore the golden dragon armor and was running. He was panting heavily and his forehead was full of sweat. He naturally wouldn't relax when it came to tempering his body, especially when he had the golden dragon armor, a treasure for tempering his body. The stronger the physique, the longer the number of years he could absorb the soul ring. This was an iron law, at least for Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's spiritual power was comparable to a soul sage's. It wasn't a big problem for him to withstand a 50 to 60,000 year soul ring, but his body was still a little weak. Although he had the golden dragon's bloodline, his physique was still a little weak. His strength was comparable to a soul sage, but his physique was about the same as a high-level soul emperor. Absorbing a 30 to 40,000 year soul ring wasn't a problem, but it was a little troublesome to challenge a 50,000 year soul ring. Therefore, in order to increase the upper limit of his 4th ring, Lu Yuan naturally had to temper his body. Of course, the above was the situation a year ago. After a year, Lu Yuan's physique had improved a lot, and he had also reached the level of an assault-type soul sage. The golden dragon armor's external soul bone continued to grow as Lu Yuan's strength increased. When he first obtained it, it only weighed 2,000 kilograms, but now it was more than 5,000 kilograms. 5,000 kilograms was a good weight for Lu Yuan now. It could be said that the golden dragon armor's help to Lu Yuan was not limited to fighting. It could always keep up with Lu Yuan's footsteps. Lu Yuan was improving, and so was it. This was the advantage of an external soul bone. It could improve along with the main character, and it would never become outdated. In this year, his soul power had already reached rank 40, but he wasn't in a hurry to add soul rings. There were 2 reasons. The first was like the above, to temper his physique and increase the number of years he could absorb soul rings. The second reason was to control the soul power in his body. This was because Lu Yuan's strength had increased by 6 ranks during his 1 year in the Lake of Life. Although the speed was fast, he couldn't control it as he wished. Lu Yuan's requirements for soul force were like his requirements for strength. He had to control it to the smallest degree, and every strand of soul force had to be controlled like an arm. No matter how fast one's strength increased, it would still be useless if one couldn't completely control it and unleash all of one's strength. It was even possible for one to be defeated by someone whose soul power was lower than his. This was not fake, but there were actual examples to follow. What Lu Yuan pursued was not only to display his full strength, but also to display 110% or even 120% of his strength. Of course, even if he didn't obtain a soul ring, it didn't mean that Lu Yuan couldn't continue cultivating. He continued to meditate every day, and his strength was still increasing. It was just that he didn't add a soul ring, so it couldn't be seen. However, as long as he added a soul ring, his soul power would definitely increase by a lot. Now that an entire year had passed, His strength had reached 50,000 jin under normal circumstances. The true might of the Golden Dragon bloodline was being unearthed by him. The strength of the Golden Dragon bloodline was showing its brilliance. When he activated his bloodline to the limit, it might be time for him to transform. Who? Lu Yuan exhaled again and slowed down. At this moment, he had already reached his limit. Although his face was still a little red, the strength in his body had been completely depleted. He had even broken through his limit once. Breaking through his limit every day through intense training was the reason why Lu Yuan's physical strength could break through 50,000 jin. With a strength of 50,000 jin, Lu Yuan had already surpassed Zhao Wuji in terms of strength. If it was just a competition of strength, Zhao Wuji was no longer Lu Yuan's match. However, if it was a head-on battle, Lu Yuan still didn't have the confidence to defeat Zhao Wuji. He might even lose. After all, the terror of a martial soul true body wasn't just a joke. Of course, this might not be the case if he absorbed his fourth soul ring. At the fourth level, not only would his body's quality continue to increase, his soul power would become more abundant, and he would also have an additional soul skill. At the same time, his clear chi scripture's recovery speed would also increase. This would be a comprehensive improvement for Lu Yuan. It could be said that every additional soul ring was a comprehensive transformation for a soul master. For example, there were some soul cultivators who couldn't defeat a rank 41 soul ancestor when they were a rank 39 soul exalt, but they could defeat a rank 44 soul ancestor when they were a rank 41 soul ancestor. This was the importance of soul rings. Having one more soul ring and having one less soul ring were completely different. The difference between the two was very large. It was actually quite difficult to jump ranks. Not everyone had martial souls like the Golden Dragon or the Six-Winged Angel. Not everyone was like Lu Yuan, who could fight against a high-level Soul Emperor as a rank 40 Soul Elder. He even dared to fight against a Soul Sage with his Polychoria. Ordinary Soul Masters were considered rare geniuses if they could defeat a rank 41 Soul Ancestor when they were rank 40. Lu Yuan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Breaking through one's limits every day was definitely a very painful thing. It required a lot of willpower. Lu Yuan only dared to do this because of his Golden Dragon bloodline's limitless potential, his tyrannical physical strength, and his secret character. If it were any other soul master, they would have been crippled if they didn't have sufficient medicinal strength to support them. In the original book, Grandmaster had trained Shrek's 7 monsters every day. Running with weights was only pushing them to their limit. Lu Yuan didn't dare to directly break through his limit. This was because although soul masters were strong, their physical bodies were still mortal. This was especially true for 12 or 13-year-old soul masters. Their ranks were relatively low, and their physical bodies were relatively weak without a martial soul possessing them. Not every martial soul could compare to the Golden Dragon's ultimate strength. Furthermore, Lu Yuan didn't only have the Golden Dragon's martial soul and bloodline. His clear chi divine power and vast ocean strength were also constantly strengthening his body. Otherwise, his physical body wouldn't have been able to break through so smoothly. As he slowly walked into the academy, the secret character automatically activated and began to recover his physical strength. The secret character of the secret character was so heaven-defying. Recovery of injuries was just one aspect. It could also quickly recover one's physical strength. Otherwise, how could it be called one of the 9 esotericas? If one cultivated it to a certain level, even their soul power could be recovered instantly. It only took an instant to restore everything to their peak state. This was the heaven-defying aspect of the secret character of the secret character of the secret character. Generally speaking, those who had the secret character of the secret character of the secret character of the secret character would have an extremely strong battle endurance. They would be able to maintain their peak state for a long time. Furthermore, their life-saving ability was also extraordinary. One could imagine how powerful it was. Of course, Lu Yuan was still far from this step. Chapter 242. Lu Yuan was a special case in Shrek Academy because Flender and the others couldn't teach him anything. Thus, they let nature take its course. Cultivation plans and whatnot were all arranged by Lu Yuan himself. After all, Lu Yuan's fighting strength could be said to be the third strongest in Shrek. Other than Flender and Zhao Wuji, the other teachers, such as Li Yusong and Lu Qibin, were no match for Lu Yuan. As for why he said this, it was because of Lu Yuan's fighting strength over the past year. Whether it was Li Yusong or Lu Qibin, they were all defeated by him. As for Flender, Lu Yuan hadn't fought with him before. He could fly and hide here and there. Lu Yuan didn't like this kind of fighting style. He preferred a strength-type soul master like Zhao Wuji. When fighting, there was no nonsense to be said. Just be reckless. It was very comfortable to fight with fists on flesh. Over the past year, Lu Yuan had often battled with Zhao Wuji, and the relationship between the two had also become closer with each battle. Zhao Wuji was also a battle maniac. Didn't you hear that his nickname was the Immovable Wisdom King? It was actually very simple to be friends with such a person. You just had to fight a few rounds and then get together to drink and eat barbecued meat when you were free. Lu Yuan and Zhao Wuji got along quite well over the past year. At least for Zhao Wuji, Lu Yuan dared to guarantee that if he fell out with Tang San and the others in the future, Zhao Wuji would definitely help him. At the very least, they wouldn't help each other. As for Flender, Lu Yuan didn't have much confidence because his relationship with the master was too strong. It would be difficult to destroy his relationship with the master. However, as long as it was done properly, it wasn't impossible to make Flender not help Tang San. It was just a little troublesome. Lu Yuan couldn't be bothered to think so much. In Flender's life, other than Lu Erlong, he valued Shrek Academy the most. As long as he started from this aspect, it wasn't impossible to make Flender remain neutral. Without Shrek Academy's support, Tang San wouldn't be far from being alone. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan was a little happy in his heart. He wanted to see Tang San's betrayal. Walking into the academy, it was empty. Lu Yuan suddenly remembered that at this time, Dai Mubai should have gone to the Great Soul Arena with Ma Hongjun. Anyway, Shrek's training, besides running, was only left with this. As for the battle between students, Ma Hongjun was obviously not Dai Mubai's match. After all, Ma Hongjun was now level 28, while Dai Mubai was level 37. The gap between them was quite large. Although Lu Yuan was on the same level as Dai Mubai didn't dare to fight with Lu Yuan. With Lu Yuan's current strength, he didn't even need to use his martial spirit to deal with him. He only needed one punch to beat him half to death. The gap between them was too big. Therefore, if they want to train their combat ability, they can only go to the Great Soul Arena. Of course, Lu Yuan had also been to the Great Soul Arena in Soto City for more than a year, but he had either participated in 1-on-7 Soul King battle teams or 1-on-2 Soul Emperors and Soul Ancestors. He had no interest in that. This was the only way to have enough strength. Although it was not easy to win every time, especially at the beginning, it was quite difficult, and he almost had to use all kinds of tricks to win. At the end, it became easier to win. At least, he hadn't lost in this year. The original purple gold badge had been replaced with a sapphire badge. It couldn't be helped. The points for challenging someone of a higher rank were too high, especially when Lu Yuan was fighting someone of 2 or even 3 rank. Furthermore, he was fighting against multiple opponents at the same time, so the points were even higher. Even though Lu Yuan did not participate many times, the addition of the points still made him a sapphire badge. Lu Yuan was the first person to get a sapphire badge with a level 40 soul power since the establishment of the Great Soul Arena. This didn't refer to the Great Soul Arena in Soto, but all the Great Soul Arenas in the entire continent. It could be said that he had created history. There was no one in the academy, so Lu Yuan went straight back to his hut. First, he washed his body. After all, he was covered in sweat. Although he was very handsome, his sweat still smelled. After taking a cold shower, he was much more awake. Lu Yuan was ready to start absorbing his fourth soul ring. In a year, he had suppressed his realm for too long. Going too far was as bad as falling short. If he suppressed it for too long, it wouldn't be good. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Lu Yuan secretly connected to the system. System, extract the soul ring. According to the rules of the system, the treasure chest type of reward could only be kept for 3 days. It must be opened within 3 days, otherwise it would lose its effect. But after opening it, even if it wasn't used, it could be stored for a long time. This soul ring was also ordinary. It was a direct reward. Although Lu Yuan didn't use it, it had always been stored in the system. Lu Yuan's voice fell, and a black soul ring appeared on top of Lu Yuan's head. A burst of energy rushed from Lu Yuan's Baihui acupoint into Lu Yuan's body. Lu Yuan closed his eyes and opened the clear Qi scripture. Absorbing a soul ring produced by the system had an advantage over hunting soul beasts' soul rings. The advantage was that the soul ring didn't have any resentment, not to mention spirit shock. It only had pure energy. In other words, absorbing the 10,000-year soul ring this time didn't have a high requirement for spiritual power. Instead, it completely depended on how much Lu Yuan's body could withstand. This soul ring was a 10,000-year soul ring without an upper limit. The highest it could reach was 99,999 years. It was somewhat similar to a god-bestowed soul ring. Although it couldn't reach the 100,000-year level like a god-bestowed soul ring, it was actually the same in terms of being suitable for one's body. After all, to the current Lu Yuan, this 10,000-year soul ring with no upper limit had a similar effect as a god-bestowed soul ring. This was because Lu Yuan's limit couldn't reach the upper limit of the soul ring's absorption. The black soul ring emitted a deep light. As Lu Yuan continued to absorb, the black soul ring on top of his head seemed to become darker. This meant that the age of Lu Yuan's soul ring was increasing. At least for now, it was already much darker than Lu Yuan's second soul ring. The vigorous soul ring's energy flowed in Lu Yuan's body. Lu Yuan's clear Qi scripture soul power was like a shark that smelled blood. It frantically surged towards the soul ring's energy and began to rapidly refine it. The golden dragon martial soul let out a resonant dragon's roar, and the entire small wooden house was covered in golden light. Within the endless golden light, the black soul ring emitted a faint light. An hour later, beads of sweat dripped down Lu Yuan's forehead. His face was flushed red, and the veins on his neck were bulging. This was a sign that he was nearing his limit and was about to collapse. "I've reached my true limit. I can't be reckless anymore." Lu Yuan sighed inwardly. Although his body was strong, if he continued to increase the age of the soul ring, it was very likely that his body would explode. He immediately stopped increasing the age of the soul ring and focused on refining the soul ring's energy. The beads of sweat on his forehead and the bulging veins on his neck slowly recovered. His flushed face became calm again, and the absorption of the soul ring was back on track. Chapter 243. Golden light flashed in the small wooden hut. Lu Yuan was still absorbing the soul ring. The absorption of a soul ring couldn't be disturbed by others. It required a very quiet environment. Otherwise, the absorption might fail, and the soul power in one's body would go berserk. If it was light, he would be severely injured. If it was heavy, he might even lose his life. Therefore, Lu Yuan was still prepared even though he was in Shrek Academy. Long Xiaoyao didn't leave his side to protect him. As he absorbed the soul ring, Long Xiaoyao was silently protecting him. With the Dragon Emperor Douluo protecting him, he was relatively safe. Another 4 hours passed. It was already past noon. Absorbing a soul ring took a lot of time. Sometimes it might even take a day. Lu Yuan's fourth soul ring had reached his current limit. Therefore, it was more difficult for him to absorb it. Fortunately, he had the clear air scripture to refine the soul ring. After 4 hours, he was almost done absorbing the soul ring. This was already a relatively fast speed. Finally, the soul power undulations in Lu Yuan's body calmed down. The soul ring above his head also entered Lu Yuan's body. At this moment, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly opened. The roar of the golden dragon resounded in the air as a pair of enormous dragon wings extended from Lu Yuan's back. They were 3 meters long. After becoming a soul ancestor, he had finally awakened some of the true strengths of the golden dragon martial soul. Dragon wings. The golden dragon undoubtedly had dragon wings. However, it could only be undone after reaching a certain realm. This was especially so since Lu Yuan possessed the second-generation golden dragon's bloodline. Furthermore, he was still in the process of evolution. It was abnormal that he didn't have dragon wings. However, Lu Yuan's soul power was too low. He couldn't summon them. After arriving at the Soul Divine Sect, Lu Yuan was finally able to take out this pair of huge golden dragon wings. With them, Lu Yuan finally had the ability to fly. If he faced another flying-type soul master, Lu Yuan would be able to fight them in the air. He wouldn't have to fight them as hard as before. After all, he couldn't fly. Ultimately, it was a disadvantage. However, this disadvantage had been made up for. A golden dragon that could fly, its power could be said to have increased by quite a bit. I awakened the golden dragon wings on the 4th ring. What about the 5th ring? Is it a domain or a horn? Lu Yuan thought to himself. It's best if it's a domain. This Western dragon's horns are really a little ugly. Lu Yuan sighed softly. The golden dragon undoubtedly had a domain, and it was an innate domain. But just like the golden dragon wings, there were some that did exist, but it required enough strength to activate. But it could be expected that the golden dragon's talent domain was definitely extraordinarily powerful. It was definitely much stronger than Tang San's blue-silver domain. Has Cher awakened her angel domain yet? If she awakens the angel domain, then I will have to put in a lot of effort to defeat her. A domain was a precious soul skill that only titled Douluo had a chance of obtaining. It was even more useful in battle than an external soul bone, and its innate domain was even more powerful. It wasn't something that a soul bone could compare to, not even 100,000-year soul bone. If Chihiro Snow had awakened her angel domain, then Lu Yuan's estimation of her strength would probably increase by a little. Originally, Chihiro Snow was already strong enough to fight against a soul emperor. With her angel domain and a 99,999-year angel soul bone, her strength was probably comparable to a soul sage. However, she should be a low-level soul sage. Lu Yuan was now able to fight Zhao Wuji one-on-one. After a year of tempering his body, his physique was comparable to an assault-type soul sage's. With the help of the clear Qi scripture, Lu Yuan's 4th soul ring had already reached the 60,000-year rank, and his soul power had directly jumped to rank 46. Originally, a year of cultivation should have allowed him to increase his soul power by 2 ranks. After all, a soul ancestor required more soul power than a soul elder to increase his soul power by 1 rank. It should have been around rank 43. However, Lu Yuan was already at rank 46. The additional 3 ranks of soul power should have been brought about by his 4th soul ring. Therefore, should it be said that it was indeed a 60,000-year soul ring? It was indeed very powerful. Lu Yuan was certain that Zhao Wuji's 7th soul ring wasn't 60,000 year. Generally speaking, a 60,000-year soul beast's strength was comparable to a high-level soul sage, or even an ordinary soul Douluo. Zhao Wuji definitely wasn't a match for them. Lu Yuan guessed that it was at most 40,000 years. However, this was already considered quite good for Zhao Wuji, who hadn't joined any organization yet. A 60,000-year soul ring was naturally not ordinary. It definitely gave Lu Yuan a huge boost. First, the most direct improvement was his strength. Originally, Lu Yuan's physical strength was around 50,000 kilograms without any enhancement. However, after obtaining his fourth soul ring, it directly soared to 65,000 kilograms. This strength was a little terrifying, and was comparable to an ordinary soul Douluo. There was no doubt that he had left Zhao Wuji far behind. Secondly, his physical strength had increased. His defensive strength and explosive power had greatly increased. It was basically impossible for soul masters of the same rank to break through his defenses. It had to be said that absorbing soul rings was the fastest way for soul masters to become stronger. Before Lu Yuan absorbed his soul ring, he had undergone a year of extreme training to increase his strength by 15,000 kilograms. The hardships he had gone through weren't something that others could understand. However, after absorbing his fourth soul ring, his strength had increased by so much. It was really indescribable. No wonder so many soul masters would go crazy for a high-quality soul ring. It was simply too tempting. At this point, Lu Yuan somewhat understood why the Chihiro disease didn't hesitate to offend the Clear Sky sect and hunt Ian down. If a 60,000-year soul ring was like this, then what about a 100,000-year soul ring? The boost would definitely be even greater. It was no wonder that Tang San's fighting strength was comparable to that of an ordinary titled Douluo after Xiao Wu sacrificed a 100,000-year soul ring when he was over rank 60. A 100,000-year soul ring definitely had mystical abilities that ordinary people couldn't imagine. As he thought about this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but feel a little excited about his fifth soul ring. The Titan Giant Ape's soul ring was definitely of a much higher quality than Xiao Wu's soul ring. After all, how could the soft bone rabbit compare to a genuine 100,000-year soul beast like the Titan Giant Ape? My fourth soul skill, Golden Dragon Roar. Is it a sound-type soul skill? It can attack both the body and the mind. It's not bad. Lu Yuan nodded. He was rather satisfied with this soul skill. After clapping his hands, Lu Yuan stood up from his bed and rubbed his stomach. It was already afternoon, and he was a little hungry. Although he wasn't a glutton like Tang Wulin, his appetite wasn't small either. He would feel a little hungry if he skipped a meal. This was because his body was very strong, and he needed a lot of energy to replenish it. In some fantasy novels, it was normal for cultivators who cultivated their bodies to eat a cow a day. Chapter 244. There was definitely no food in the canteen now. If he wanted to eat, he had to go to Soto City. Furthermore, if Lu Yuan didn't remember wrongly, Shrek's recruitment was going to start in a few days. Not only would Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong come, but his kitten, Zhu Zhuqing, would also come. He hadn't seen her for more than 2 years, and he didn't know how she was doing. However, according to the information that Lu Yuan had obtained from the Martial Soul Palace in Soto City, Zhu Zhuqing was still very safe. Furthermore, she had improved quite a bit. Her third soul ring had even reached 2,500 years. It seemed like the life spirit crystal had greatly increased her physique. That was why she could break through the limits of ordinary soul masters with her third soul ring. Zhu Zhuqing's third soul ring was obtained with the help of the Martial Soul Palace. Lu Yuan was very clear about this. After all, it was extremely difficult for her to hunt a 1,000-year soul beast on her own when she was training outside. However, with the 5th-class token that Lu Yuan had given her, she could mobilize anyone from the Martial Soul Branch Hall under the Sacred Hall. Hunting a soul beast was very easy for her. Furthermore, Zhu Zhuqing was willing to borrow the power of the Martial Soul Palace. This meant that she really treated him as her closest person. Otherwise, with Zhu Zhuqing's prideful personality, she wouldn't do something like this. As he thought about this, Lu Yuan felt a little warm in his heart. According to the information obtained from the Martial Soul Branch Hall, the kitten should be rushing towards Soto City. I'll be able to see her very soon. Lu Yuan missed Zhu Zhuqing and his heart ached for her. This girl was willing to roam the continent alone to train and not be a burden to him. She suffered a lot just to be able to help him. Lu Yuan would be lying if he said that he wasn't touched. Basically, he would visit the Martial Soul Palace in Soto City every once in a while to find out about Zhu Zhuqing's current situation. The news within the Martial Soul Palace was always circulating, especially when Lu Yuan had used the angel token to order all the Martial Soul branch palaces on the Douluo continent to pay attention to a female soul master called Zhu Zhuqing and spread the news so that Lu Yuan would know. For the sake of Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan could be considered to have put in a lot of effort. With that thought in mind, Lu Yuan rubbed his stomach and walked towards Soto City. He was really hungry. At this moment, an interesting scene was playing out all over the Heaven Do Empire. Heaven Do Imperial City, Crown Prince Residence. Chihiro Snow was still pretending to be Shueqinghe. He sat on a chair in the study with a cup of clear tea in his hand. The snake spear Douluo was right beside her. There was a gray-robed elder in front of her. It was the frenzy rhino Douluo. That rascal is still wasting time in Shrek Academy? Chihiro Snow asked. According to the news from the Martial Soul Palace in Soto City, young Master Yuan should have stayed in Soto City for a year. During this year, he has been staying in Shrek Academy. The frenzy rhino Douluo said. What is this rascal trying to do? What's so good about staying in a lousy academy? I heard that he was too lazy to go to the Martial Soul Academy when that woman asked him to. Now, he's actually staying in such a lousy academy. What are his plans? Chihiro Snow asked softly. I don't know either. Young Master Yuan's actions are very unconstrained. I've never been able to guess what he's doing. When I was beside young Master Yuan, I couldn't see through any of his actions. The frenzy rhino Douluo said. Oh, that's true. Sometimes, even I can't guess what this rascal is trying to do. Chihiro Snow tapped her chin and said, This rascal even said that he would visit me when he had time. In the end, it's been 2 years, and I haven't seen him at all. As Qian Renxue spoke, her tone actually carried a trace of hidden bitterness that could not be detected. After hearing this, the frenzy rhino Douluo and the snake spear Douluo looked down. It was better for them not to interfere in the matters between their young mistress and young Master Yuan. Coincidentally, Father has sent me to the various kingdoms and provinces to observe the situation. I'll take some time to visit Soto City. I want to know what this rascal is trying to do. When the time comes, both of you will follow me, Chihiro Snow said. Yes, young mistress. The two of them nodded slightly. They looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. Young Master Yuan, good luck. Rascal! Chihiro Snow's eyes flashed. Heaven Do Empire, 7 treasures Glaze City, 7 treasures Glaze Sect. Ning Fengji was sitting on a chair in the main hall. He was holding a letter in his hand. Fengji. Suddenly, an elder in white flew into the main hall on his sword. I heard that Rongrong has left the mountain. She even joined Shrek Academy? Uncle Jian. Ning Fengji smiled and said, Rongrong has always been in the sect, and you know her temper. Maybe she'll change a little this time. Shrek Academy was established by Flender of the Golden Iron Triangle, and I heard that their teaching is pretty good. What's wrong with Rongrong's temper? She's so obedient. Furthermore, what can Flender teach her? Can he compare to me and my old bones? The sword Douluo's tone was questioning. Ever since they were young, he and the bone Douluo had doted on Ning Rongrong. Now that she had suddenly left the mountain, he was naturally reluctant to let her go. After hearing this, Ning Fengji revealed a bitter smile. Wasn't Ning Rongrong's demonic temper because the sword Douluo and the bone Douluo had spoiled her? Of course, he also spoiled her. After all, she was his daughter, and she was so outstanding. Who else could he spoil if not himself? Seeing the sword Douluo like this, Ning Fengji knew that he had to use some drastic measures. This was the only way to move Uncle Jian. Uncle Jian, according to the news I received, Lu Yuan is also in Shrek Academy. You know that Rongrong has always liked him. Now that Rongrong has gone there, the two of them will interact more. Maybe, as Ning Fengji spoke, he looked at the sword Douluo and said, "So you understand." The sword Douluo's expression turned serious. He said, "If that's the case, it's still a reason. But I don't think Lu Yuan is that easy to woo." There was a tinge of worry in his voice. Lu Yuan was extraordinarily arrogant. Could Rongrong do it? Don't worry, Uncle Jian. With Rongrong's looks and the foundation of our 7 treasures glazed sect, do you think we can't woo Lu Yuan? You're too worried. Uncle Jian, I know that even heroes can't resist the charms of beautiful women. No matter how freakish Lu Yuan is, he'll surrender to Rongrong. Ning Fengji chortled. He seemed to be imagining how Lu Yuan would be roped into the 7 treasures glazed sect in the future. With the help of a freakish genius and an ultimate Douluo, wouldn't the 7 treasures glazed sect become the leader of the 3 upper sects? The sword Douluo was appraising Ning Fengji with a peculiar look on his face. Rongrong was indeed very beautiful and adorable, but Ning Fengji was being far too confident. On the contrary, he was rather concerned that things might not go as smoothly as Ning Fengji had envisioned. Chapter 245. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed since Lu Yuan obtained the soul ring. It was rare for Shrek Academy to be so lively today, as it was the day of Shrek Academy's recruitment. To teachers like Li Yusong and Lu Qibin, the recruitment was just so. They didn't have much expectations, as they might not be able to recruit a single person every year. However, Lu Yuan knew that this year was the year with the highest number of students. He should be able to see Zhu Zhuqing again very soon. Thinking about it made him feel a little excited. He had been separated from Zhu Zhuqing ever since the life remnant appeared. It had been more than 2 years, and he didn't know if Zhu Zhuqing had grown up. Cough cough. Back to the main topic. Lu Yuan had some relations with the recruitment. He was just helping to maintain order, even though these things were supposed to be done by Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai's relationship with Lu Yuan was just so over the past year. It was neither good nor bad. On the other hand, Ma Hongjun and Oscar were closer to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan didn't purposely target Dai Mubai anymore. As his strength increased, his scheming heart faded. What was the use of scheming so much? He couldn't even withstand a light punch. The possessor of the golden dragon should have the invincible heart. Of course, Lu Yuan still hadn't given up on Tang San's scheme. It wasn't a scheme, but it was to avenge Cher and his senior in the original novel. Of course, it was also to avenge Wang Qiu who had been schemed against and ended up in such a miserable state. Ma Hongjun and Oscar, the 2 poor bastards, had a good relationship with Lu Yuan after they had taken advantage of Lu Yuan a few times. Ma Hongjun, in particular, had almost recognized Lu Yuan as his boss. Although Lu Yuan and Dai Mubai were both handsome, and Lu Yuan was even more handsome than Dai Mubai, Lu Yuan was upright and never bullied them. On the other hand, Dai Mubai had a grudge against Ma Hongjun for stealing his wife. Because of Ma Hongjun's exaggeration, he was taught a lesson by Lu Yuan. Although this guy didn't beat Ma Hongjun up, he often seduced the women Ma Hongjun fancied. With his face that was far more handsome than Ma Hongjun's, as well as his wealth and power, it went without saying who those women would follow. This made Ma Hongjun feel resentful. There was some friction between the two of them. Lu Yuan tidied up his clothes and walked out of the cabin. His attire had never changed. He was always dressed in white. However, the styles were somewhat different. Some were white robes with golden edges and cloud sleeves, while others were white robes with silver threads. There were dozens of different sizes. In any case, the astral ring was big enough, so he could just put it inside. The 12-year-old Lu Yuan was 1.85 meters tall. His growth was much faster than his peers. The golden dragon's bloodline matured very early. He would grow taller in the future, but the growth rate wouldn't be too big. White robes, black hair, a purple jade pendant, and a palm-sized silver reverse scale on his neck. This reverse scale was smooth and shiny. It was given to him by Gu Yuna. Lu Yuan had been wearing it for the past year. The scale was cold to the touch. In summer, it was a good item to cool down the heat. Moreover, its defense was very strong. Almost no one under the titled rank could break it. Hiding the scale in his clothes, Lu Yuan walked into the academy's plaza. His cabin was a bit far from the academy's gate, so it took some time for him to walk over. When Lu Yuan arrived, the recruitment had already begun. There was a long queue. Li Yusong was sitting in front of the same wooden table as a year ago, checking the bone age and cultivation of each student. I'll say one last thing. We're only recruiting geniuses under the age of 13 with soul power over rank 20. If you don't meet the requirements, don't waste your time here, Li Yusong said. His martial soul, the dragon-patterned staff, appeared in his hand. 6 soul rings, white, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, and black, rippled under him. The aura of a soul emperor swept out. What a familiar scene! Lu Yuan walked over and sized up the people in the queue. Lu Yuan's gaze swept across the front row. When he passed by the back row, his eyes narrowed. Are all my acquaintances here? It's only the first day. They're all here just in time. Lu Yuan's eyes wandered. He looked at the black-clothed woman at the back of the queue. His eyes didn't move for a long time. As if disturbed by Lu Yuan's gaze, the woman raised her head. When she saw Lu Yuan's familiar face, her delicate body trembled. She couldn't hide the surprise on her face. Her cold but fiery eyes locked with Lu Yuan's eyes. At that moment, it was as if the entire world had quieted down. Yo, Boss Lu, you're here too. Ma Hongjuan's eyes were sharp. When he saw Lu Yuan's arrival, he ran over to Lu Yuan and lowered his voice. His eyes lit up as he said, Boss Lu, there are quite a few outstanding junior sisters who signed up this year. As he spoke, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Hearing this, Lu Yuan frowned. There was a hint of warning in his voice as he said, It's fine if you look at the others, but if you dare to look at the girl at the back of the queue with such vulgar eyes, be careful that I'll gouge your eyeballs out. Ma Hongjun was frightened by Lu Yuan's fierce tone. He hurriedly said, Boss Lu, don't tell me you've taken a fancy to that girl. Don't worry, I won't peek if you've taken a fancy to her. As he spoke, he patted his chest. She's the one who made a promise with me to grow old together, understand? Lu Yuan glanced at Ma Hongjun. I understand. So it's sister-in-law, I understand. Ma Hongjun nodded. He didn't look anymore and turned his gaze elsewhere. Although this fatty was lecherous, there was one thing worth mentioning about him, and that was that he was loyal. Lu Yuan glanced at him indifferently. His gaze was still lingering at the back of the queue. He really hadn't seen this figure for a long time. When Lu Yuan was sizing up the back of the queue, a few people in the queue also noticed Lu Yuan's figure and were somewhat surprised in their hearts. So handsome! Some of the female students in the queue couldn't help but exclaim when they saw Lu Yuan's fairy-like face. Damn, a man can actually be so handsome? This was the voice of a male soul master. Lu Yuan. Seeing that Lu Yuan had arrived, Li Yusong waved his hand. Teacher Li. Seeing that Li Yusong had called out to him, Lu Yuan retracted his gaze and walked towards Li Yusong. Is something the matter, Teacher Li? Lu Yuan asked. It's like this. My stomach suddenly hurts a little. Can you help me cover for a while? Li Yusong rubbed his stomach with a look of discomfort on his face. Are you serious? Teacher Li, you're not thinking of slacking off, are you? Lu Yuan's eyes carried a trace of suspicion. Lu Yuan, in your eyes, do I, Li Yusong, look like the kind of person who likes to slack off? Li Yusong said righteously. You don't. Hearing that, Li Yusong nodded in satisfaction. You are that kind of person, Lu Yuan said indifferently. Hearing that, the smile on Li Yusong's face suddenly froze. Chapter 246. Ma Hongjun, take him to the second stage. Lu Yuan said to Ma Hongjun as he looked at the 12-year-old boy who had reached level 21 and possessed a fine martial soul. Yes, Boss Lu. Ma Hongjun nodded at Lu Yuan. Follow me. As he spoke, he strode forward with his short legs and walked inside. Perhaps it was because Li Yusong had revealed the conditions for the recruitment, but those who dared to stay were all capable. Lu Yuan checked 2 people. They were both level 20 and above. Although they were both level 21 and would most likely be eliminated, they had at least passed the first stage. It was much better than last year. After the boy in front of him left, a girl with long brown hair and a green dress stood in front of Lu Yuan and stretched out her small hand. Lu Yuan squeezed it gently. Her small hand was soft and boneless. It felt good to the touch. Does Uncle Ning know that you're here? Lu Yuan asked calmly as he looked at the girl in front of him. This girl was none other than the little devil of the 7 treasures glazed sect, Ning Rongrong. He knows. Ning Rongrong nodded gently with a gentle smile on her face. Coupled with her etiquette, she really had the elegant temperament of an upper-class aristocrat. Doesn't your academy teach everyone regardless of background? You should be able to accept people like me. Ning Rongrong's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. That's possible. Lu Yuan nodded. Lu Yuan glanced at Ning Rongrong. He was about to withdraw his hand when Ning Rongrong grabbed it. He couldn't take it back. Lu Yuan looked at her calmly. After you disappeared from Heaven Do Imperial City, there was no news of you. I didn't expect to see you here. Ning Rongrong didn't care about Lu Yuan's gaze. Instead, she continued to hold on to Lu Yuan's hand with a surprised expression. She had always been a lawless little devil. Why would she care about these things? God knows how much she missed Lu Yuan in the past 2 years. Lu Yuan's godlike heroic bearing and fairy-like appearance had left a deep impression on her. She had never been able to forget it. He was very happy to see Lu Yuan today, and he wanted to hold on tightly to Lu Yuan. Although Lu Yuan looked a little cold on the surface, she knew that Lu Yuan was actually not difficult to get along with. The coldness was just on the surface. Let go. Lu Yuan didn't react much to Ning Rongrong's words. He already had too many people in his heart and didn't want to have another one. Oh! Ning Rongrong could only retract her small hand. She was a little witch in the 7 treasures glazed sect, but in front of Lu Yuan, she tried her best to maintain her gentleness. Release your martial spirit, Lu Yuan said calmly. Oh, there's colored glass from the 7 treasures. Ning Rongrong nodded and opened her right hand. A colorful 7-story pagoda appeared in her hand. 2 yellow soul rings revolved around the pagoda. You pass. Wait at the side. I'll take you directly to the 4th round later, Lu Yuan said. Aren't we going to the 2nd round? Ning Rongrong asked. You're exempt from the 2nd and 3rd round. Go, Lu Yuan said softly. He could sense that Ning Rongrong's soul power had already reached rank 27, which was 1 level higher than in the original novel. Naturally, she didn't need to waste time on the 2nd and 3rd round. Okay. Ning Rongrong's lips curled into a smile. She was secretly delighted. She had thought that Lu Yuan was opening the back door for her. Long time no see, Lu Yuan. A young man in blue clothes said to Lu Yuan. Long time no see indeed. Looking at Tang San and Xiao Wu in front of him, Lu Yuan's heart wavered. However, his tone was still calm. You don't need to test your ages. I know. Release your martial soul, Lu Yuan said. Okay. Tang San put 20 gold soul coins into the wooden box. Martial soul possession. A blue vine appeared in Tang San's hand. It was his blue-silver grass martial soul. Above it there were 2 yellow soul rings. Xiao Wu's eyes glowed with pink light, and her rabbit ears grew longer. 2 yellow soul rings also rose from her body. You guys go there and wait. You're exempt from the second and third round, Lu Yuan said. That's not good, Tang San said. He thought that Lu Yuan was opening the back door for them. According to the Academy's rules, rank 25 and above are exempt from the second and third round. You two are already rank 29. You don't need to waste time on the second and third round. How do you know that we're already rank 29? Tang San looked at Lu Yuan in shock. He didn't report his rank. Your soul power undulations are so obvious. Isn't it easy to see through? Lu Yuan said indifferently. Even without mentioning the original novel, just based on Lu Yuan's spiritual power and the mystery of his polychoria, he would be able to see through the ranks of soul masters who were of a higher rank than him, let alone people like Tang San whose soul power was lower than his. After looking deeply at Lu Yuan, Tang San walked towards Ning Rongrong with Xiao Wu. According to Lu Yuan's words, this girl's soul power was definitely above rank 25. She wasn't simple. There were so many geniuses in Shrek Academy. Tang San felt that he had come to the right place. However, what he didn't know was that coming here was definitely the biggest mistake he had made in his life. After checking a few more students, he reached the end of the line. Only the girl in black was left in front of him. Lu Yuan looked straight at her with a gentle expression. Little kitty, we meet again, Lu Yuan said softly with a gentle smile on his face. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes were moist, and there was an unconcealable excitement on her face. Her silver teeth bit her red lips as she looked at Lu Yuan with eyes full of longing and deep affection. Zhuqing, you've lost a lot of weight. Lu Yuan stood up and walked to Zhu Zhuqing's side. There were no other students here, so Lu Yuan didn't need to sit anymore. Lu Yuan gently brushed Zhu Zhuqing's face, and there was a trace of tenderness on his face. Zhu Zhuqing had grown a lot in the past 2 years, and she seemed to have matured a lot. However, she had definitely suffered a lot. There was a kind of unswerving determination in her eyes that wasn't there before. Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing said softly. Her voice was cold, but it contained a deep affection. 2 years of separation didn't dim the feelings between them. Instead, it became even stronger and indestructible. Lu Yuan gently brushed Zhu Zhuqing's hair. He didn't care that Ning Rongrong, Tang San, and Xiao Wu were still present. He pulled Zhu Zhuqing into his embrace. After not seeing her for more than 2 years, he only wanted to hug this stubborn and pitiful little kitty tightly in his arms. Tightly hugging Zhu Zhuqing's slender waist, Lu Yuan gently kissed Zhu Zhuqing's cheeks, releasing his longing. Zhu Zhuqing quietly lay in Lu Yuan's arms, feeling this embrace that she hadn't felt in 2 years. Chapter 247. Zhu Zhuqing gently leaned into Lu Yuan's embrace and listened to Lu Yuan's strong heartbeat. Her wandering heart finally settled down. She could only truly feel at ease when she was with Lu Yuan. This man's embrace was still so majestic and warm. As long as he was by her side, it was as if all difficulties were nothing. Zhuqing. Lu Yuan gently stroked Zhu Zhuqing's long hair. It was still as soft and smooth as before. Lu Yuan's mind seemed to have returned to the time when they were in the life ruins. Every night, Zhu Zhuqing would lean into his embrace like this, quiet and docile. Zhuqing, from now on, I won't allow you to leave my side. Lu Yuan gently pressed his forehead against Zhu Zhuqing's as he hugged her waist. Yes, I won't leave you again. With my current strength, I shouldn't be a burden to you. Zhu Zhuqing said softly, her tone carrying a trace of confidence. Her strength had improved a lot over the past 2 years. Her third soul ring, the 2500-year Netherworld Ghost Leopard, gave her a very powerful soul skill, Netherworld Shadow Doppelganger. She could create 5 doppelgangers consecutively. Furthermore, each doppelganger had 60% of the original body's strength. At the same time, the original body could teleport between the 6 doppelgangers. For example, if the original body was in the first doppelganger and was attacked, she could instantly teleport to the sixth doppelganger. This continuous teleportation allowed her to possess extremely powerful fighting strength. Furthermore, even if the doppelganger was destroyed, as long as the original body wasn't injured, she could continue to evolve. It was indeed a very powerful soul skill. If paired with her second soul skill, Netherworld Soul Breaking Claw, which had the ability to pierce through armor, Zhu Zhuqing's fighting strength couldn't be underestimated. Furthermore, her current speed far exceeded that of an ordinary agility-type soul elder. As the strongest martial soul of the cat type, the 9 Lives Lynx was undoubtedly a superb martial soul. It also had an innate domain, but like Lu Yuan, it wasn't able to activate it yet. But no matter what, Zhu Zhuqing's soul power was already over rank 30 at the age of 12. She was already considered a rare genius on the Douluo continent. She was definitely one of the few people at the very top. In the entire Douluo continent, there were no more than a handful of people in the younger generation who were more talented than her. Level 37? Lu Yuan asked as he gently touched Zhu Zhuqing's forehead, looking into Zhu Zhuqing's pitch-black eyes. Yes. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. Over the past 2 years of traveling, her cultivation had also increased from level 27 to level 37, an increase of 10 levels. Almost every year, she had an average of 4.5 levels. This speed could be said to be quite fast. The reason why Lu Yuan could level up 6 times in a year was because he was in the Lake of Life. If it were in the outside world, Lu Yuan might not be able to level up as fast as Zhu Zhuqing. Even with the remaining energy from the life crystal transforming Zhu Zhuqing's body, it was not hard to imagine that Zhu Zhuqing had indeed suffered a lot and experienced a lot of hardships in the past 2 years. As expected of my Zhuqing. Lu Yuan smiled, his hot breath hitting Zhu Zhuqing's face. Zhu Zhuqing blushed. Even though more than 2 years had passed, and even though she loved Lu Yuan to death, she still did not change this shy habit of hers. However, Lu Yuan really liked Zhu Zhuqing's shyness. Now, I won't be a burden to you, right? Zhu Zhuqing asked softly. In my eyes, you've never been a burden to me. Lu Yuan smiled. Right now, Zhu Zhuqing could be considered a genius. Level 37 at the age of 12. Even Chihiro Snow, who had innate full soul power at level 20, had only just broken through to become a soul ancestor at the age of 12. One had to know that he was 10 levels ahead of Zhu Zhuqing. In terms of cultivation speed, even Chihiro Snow was a little slower than Zhu Zhuqing. Of course, this did not mean that Chihiro Snow was inferior to Zhu Zhuqing. On the contrary, Chihiro Snow's talent was a little stronger than Zhu Zhuqing's. Putting aside the fact that the 6-winged seraph was a little stronger than the 9 Lives Lynx, the key was that Chihiro Snow had never taken any medicine. Although Zhu Zhuqing had never taken any medicine, she had used life crystals before. In terms of talent, Chihiro Snow was still better. However, no matter what, Zhu Zhuqing was exceptionally outstanding now. Compared to Dai Mubai, who was 3 years and a few months older than her soul power was not weak at all. In terms of combat strength, she could even crush Dai Mubai. A superb martial soul was not something that a top-grade martial soul could compare to. Not every top-grade martial soul was called the Clear Sky Hammer. Even if she could not defeat her opponent, she could still blow them up. Zhu Zhuqing felt a sweetness in her heart when she heard Lu Yuan's words. This man still loved her. Furthermore, every time she encountered trouble that she could not solve, the Martial Soul Palace would help her solve it. This meant that this man had always been paying attention to her. Zhuqing, I want to kiss you. Lu Yuan looked at Zhu Zhuqing with affection in his eyes. Someone's watching. Zhu Zhuqing knew that Tang San and the rest were waiting not too far away from the entrance. With her thin skin, she was rather embarrassed to kiss in public. Ignore them. Lu Yuan did not care if anyone was watching them or not. He had always been thick-skinned. All right. Zhu Zhuqing did not want to spoil this man's mood as soon as they met after more than 2 years. She suppressed the shyness in her heart and closed her eyes slightly. Lu Yuan lowered his head slightly and kissed Zhu Zhuqing's slightly cold lip. He kissed her forcefully. How could they do this? Ning Rongrong had an indescribable feeling in her heart when she saw Lu Yuan hugging the girl in black so intimately and kissing her in public. Her big, lively eyes were filled with rage. She had been thinking about this man for the past 2 years. In the end, this man did not care about her at all. Instead, he was so intimate with another woman in public. How could Ning Rongrong not be angry? She was still that lawless little witch. She was just pretending to be a lady. At this moment, she was so angry that she did not want to pretend anymore. She wanted to find trouble with Lu Yuan, but after thinking about it, she had no relationship with Lu Yuan. It was just her one-sided love. She could only sulk in her heart. Tsk, this Lu Yuan is really open. Xiao Wu swung the scorpion braids on her head, and said as she looked at the two kissing not too far away. They should be showing their true feelings. It feels like they haven't seen each other for a long time. Tang San said with a smile. He did not spend much time with Lu Yuan. Other than his talent, it was Lu Yuan's temperament. This person always had a calm appearance, as if he never had any fluctuations. This kind of person was very scary because others could not see through him at all. But today, when he saw this girl, Lu Yuan's expression was actually a little excited. This made Tang San sigh. Lu Yuan and this girl must have a very deep relationship. Just like him, and thinking of this, he could not help but look at Xiao Wu. Chapter 248. He gently let go of Zhu Zhuqing's lips. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing's face was flushed red, and her eyes were watery. Hugging Zhu Zhuqing's delicate waist, Lu Yuan gently placed his chin on Zhu Zhuqing's shoulder and sniffed the fragrance coming from Zhu Zhuqing's hair. Zhu Zhuqing's face was in Lu Yuan's embrace, and she could feel the masculine aura unique to Lu Yuan. Her heart couldn't stop beating. After a moment, Lu Yuan gently let go of Zhu Zhuqing's waist and held Zhu Zhuqing's delicate face. He kissed Zhu Zhuqing's lips again and held her hand. Let's go. I'll take you to the last round. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing softly replied. She allowed Lu Yuan to hold her hand. The two of them walked to the door, and Lu Yuan nodded to Tang San and Xiao Wu. Follow me. I'll take you to the last round. Okay. Tang San nodded. Wait. Ning Rongrong suddenly shouted. What's the matter? Lu Yuan turned to look at Ning Rongrong. Her spirit power hasn't even been tested yet. What right do you have to bring her to the final stage? Are you trying to get in through the back door? Ning Rongrong looked at Zhu Zhuqing with a hint of jealousy in her eyes as she questioned Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan frowned slightly and said, I know her soul power better than anyone else. Passing the test is a piece of cake. There's no need to test her. Who knows if you're telling the truth? Anyway, she has a good relationship with you. How do we know if you're biased towards her? Ning Rongrong continued. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's gaze turned cold as he stared at Ning Rongrong. What's wrong with this girl? Why is she targeting Zhu Qing? Seeing Lu Yuan's cold gaze, Ning Rongrong fearlessly looked back at Lu Yuan. Her eyes were mixed with an indescribable anger and a trace of jealousy. Looking at Ning Rongrong's slightly angry eyes, Lu Yuan was slightly taken aback. Where did this lass get her temper from? Zhu Qing, release your martial soul for them to see, Lu Yuan said indifferently as he retracted his gaze. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. Then, soul power surged from her body and she instantly possessed her martial soul. Her ears turned into cat ears, and a slender cat tail grew from her back. Her pitch-black eyes turned a clear blue, as pure as resplendent sapphires. Meow. With a meow, the image of a huge cat appeared behind Zhu Zhuqing. This cat's eyes were clear blue, and Zhu Zhuqing's 3 soul rings, yellow, yellow, and purple, slowly rippled. A 3-ringed soul exalt? Ning Rongrong exclaimed and took 2 steps back. Her face was filled with disbelief. How is this possible? Even Tang San and Xiao Wu couldn't help but stare in shock. For a girl of the same age as them to already be a soul exalt, that level of talent was truly frightening. Is it okay now? Lu Yuan asked calmly. Ning Rongrong did not say a word, but there was still stubbornness in her eyes. However, facing Lu Yuan's calm gaze, she didn't say anything in the end. Let's go. Lu Yuan glanced at Ning Rongrong suspiciously, then took the lead and walked into the academy. After greeting Lu Yuan, who was in charge of the second test, Lu Yuan directly brought the 4 of them to the 4th test. As for what the students in the second test thought, he left it to Lu Qibin to deal with. Along the way, Lu Yuan slowly explained the situation of Shrek Academy to them, including the specific content of the test. Of course, he was mainly talking to Zhu Zhuqing, and the other 3 were just in passing. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Tang San couldn't help but ask, Lu Yuan, you said that there are only 4 students in Shrek Academy, including you? Yes. Our academy only recruits monsters, and not ordinary people. The lowest standard is to be under the age of 13, and have a soul power of at least rank 20. The academy has been established for more than 20 years, and has only recruited 40 students. Only 16 of them have graduated, and these 16 people are all influential figures on the continent. Lu Yuan didn't mention that Shrek Academy had a Martial Soul Palace's youngest elder. According to what he knew, the Martial Soul Palace's youngest elder wasn't from Shrek Academy. Furthermore, Lu Yuan had never heard of an elder from the Martial Soul Palace who was from Shrek Academy. Lu Yuan remained skeptical as to whether or not Flender was trying to flatter himself with these words. After all, the greedy and stingy Dean Flender might really do something like this. As for the purpose, it was obviously to recruit students and attract the attention of sponsors. Although it didn't seem to be of much use, Shrek Academy was still so shabby. The final test is actual combat. It tests your actual combat ability. After all, no matter how high your soul power is or how strong your martial soul is, if you can't use it, then you're still trash. Only actual combat is the true essence of a soul master's existence. Combat is the eternal theme of a soul master. Lu Yuan said indifferently. Tang San nodded. Although Lu Yuan's words were somewhat realistic, they were the true essence. Why was the difference between a soul master and an ordinary person so great? Wasn't it because soul masters grasped powerful strength? In the end, the strong were respected in this world, and this was the unchanging law. And the meaning of a soul master's existence was ultimately still to fight. If a soul master didn't even have any combat ability, then he wouldn't have any value in existence. Just like an auxiliary-type soul master, if you didn't have any auxiliary abilities, who would care about you? Then who's in charge of the final test? Zhu Zhuqing asked. Squeezing Zhu Zhuqing's small hand, Lu Yuan said, in the past, Dai Mubai was in charge of the final test. As for this year, I'm not too sure. This Dai Mubai had most likely run off somewhere to vent his anger. He really didn't know who was in charge of the final test. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. Towards the name Dai Mubai, her heart didn't have the slightest fluctuation. This was because her entire heart had been filled up by Lu Yuan. As for Dai Mubai, this man who had once abandoned her, he was already in the past. As of now, other than that so-called engagement, there was no relationship between them. Regarding the engagement, I'll settle it. If there's a chance in the future, I'll personally go to the Star Luo Empire and cancel this engagement. Lu Yuan bent down slightly and whispered into Zhu Zhuqing's ear. Zhu Zhuqing replied. Her heart was filled with joy, and she secretly grasped Lu Yuan's hand tightly. This was the man she had set her mind on. He dared to take responsibility for his actions and had a sense of responsibility. This was what a man should be like. Seeing the two's actions, Ning Rongrong, who had been quietly walking to the side, pouted her small mouth. Her heart was filled with anger, and she kicked a small stone at the side. Ah! Ning Rongrong used too much strength, and her kick missed. Her whole body directly fell backwards. Chapter 249. The fourth stage was still the same small square. Zhao Wuji crossed his legs and lay on a shabby little recliner, basking in the sun. "Teacher Zhao, I've brought them here," Lu Yuan said. Hearing that, Zhao Wuji opened his eyes and saw Lu Yuan's figure. He smiled and said, "Little Yuan, you're the one who's bringing them here this year." Zhao Wuji was not tall, but he was quite stout. Standing there, he really had a dignified aura. "It seems that there are quite a lot of little monsters this year," Zhao Wuji said softly. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing and the other three, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. After so many years of enrollment, it was the first time that 4 people had reached the 4th stage at the same time. "Yes, Teacher Zhao, they were all exempted from the 2nd and 3rd stages," Lu Yuan said softly. "Oh!" Zhao Wuji exclaimed with a trace of surprise on his face. It seemed that these little monsters were quite talented. "Teacher Zhao, how do you operate the 4th stage this year? Are you going to do it yourself?" Lu Yuan asked. Zhao Wuji waved his hand and said, "Forget it, I'm too lazy to move. It's rare for me to bask in the sun. You'd better do it. Anyway, you're definitely strong enough." "I'll do it? That's fine too." Lu Yuan nodded and turned to face the 4 of them. He said, "Since Teacher Zhao has said so, as long as the 4 of you can hold out against me for the time it takes to burn a stick of incense, you will pass this final stage." "Wow, Lu Yuan, you're looking down on us too much. The 4 of us can hold on for 30 minutes. I think you'll be lucky if you can hold on for 30 minutes in our hands." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Xiao Wu immediately retorted. Lu Yuan ignored her and just looked at her indifferently. He said, "The rules are like this. You'd better discuss the tactics first. Otherwise, don't blame me for not reminding you when you're defeated." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Xiao Wu was a little unconvinced and wanted to refute immediately. At this moment, Zhao Wuji's voice sounded. "Kid Yuan is right. If you can really hold out against him for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, then you're good. You'd better discuss your strategy, or you'll lose without a doubt." He and Lu Yuan had sparred dozens of times over the past year. Even if Lu Yuan wasn't as strong as him, he wasn't too far off. Normal class 71 soul sages wouldn't be able to defeat him. It would be a piece of cake to deal with these 4 little monsters. He hoped that Yuan would hold back and not be eliminated. These 4 little monsters were quite talented. Hearing Zhao Wuji's words, Tang San's expression turned somewhat grave. Not to mention that Lu Yuan himself was not someone who would boast. Zhao Wuji as his teacher would definitely not lie. From the looks of it, Lu Yuan's strength was definitely beyond imagination. He had sparred with Lu Yuan twice and lost miserably both times. When he was 9 years old, Lu Yuan seemed to have already reached rank 28. Now, he was probably rank 37 or 38. Thinking about this, Tang San's heart froze. He had always been cautious. If Lu Yuan was so strong when he was 9 years old, then what about the current Lu Yuan? Tang San's mind spun. Since Lu Yuan has said so, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Tang San. My martial soul is blue-silver grass. I'm a class 29 control-type soul master. Xiao Wu. My martial soul is the soft bone rabbit. I'm a class 29 assault-type soul master. Xiao Wu's voice sounded. Zhu Zhuqing. My martial soul is the 9 lives lynx. I'm a class 37 agility-type soul elder. Zhu Zhuqing continued with a calm voice. Rank 37. Xiao Wu exclaimed. She looked at Zhu Zhuqing in shock. Zhu Zhuqing was the same age as her, but her soul power had already broken through rank 37. How was this possible? Rank 37. Tang San's mind was in turmoil. He had thought that Zhu Zhuqing would be a Class 31 soul cultivator, but she was a Class 37 soul cultivator. What kind of terrifying talent did she have to be to train like that? She was probably comparable to Lu Yuan. What kind of martial soul was the Nine Lives Lynx? He had never heard of it before. In fact, Tang San wasn't the only one who didn't know about the Nine Lives Lynx. He had learned about it from the most ancient books in the Martial Soul Palace. Back then, Tang San didn't have the qualifications to touch these things. He could only look up some unimportant information. Ancient books like these were very precious. In order to see these things, Lu Yuan had specially gone to the Angel Palace to look for Sendoryu. With his relationship with the Golden Crocodile, he was able to see them. These were the treasures that belonged to the Martial Soul Palace. They were the only ones in the outside world. After Zhu Zhuqing finished speaking, she didn't say anything else. She didn't have anything to say to strangers like Tang San. Everyone looked at Ning Rongrong. At this moment, Ning Rongrong still looked a little absent-minded. She was still intoxicated in Lu Yuan's warm embrace. Just now, when she saw that Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing were too intimate, she couldn't take it anymore and kicked a rock. In the end, she missed and fell backward. Lu Yuan was quick and caught her. The feeling of being hugged by Lu Yuan and the strange aura coming from Lu Yuan's body made Ning Rongrong feel a little intoxicated. "I won't give up." Ning Rongrong clenched her small fist and said. However, just as she finished speaking, she realized that Tang San and the other two were looking at her. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Ning Rongrong felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by the three of them. Seeing that Ning Rongrong didn't seem to know anything, Tang San could only repeat what Lu Yuan had said just now. "What? Last the time it takes for an incense stick to burn?" Ning Rongrong looked a little surprised. "Why do you have such an expression? That shouldn't be hard, right?" Xiao Wu asked doubtfully. After hearing Zhao Wuji's words, she didn't dare to say that Lu Yuan could last the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. However, she was still unconvinced. There were 4 of them. Even if they couldn't beat Lu Yuan, it shouldn't be hard for them to last the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Not hard. Ning Rongrong shook her head. 2 years ago, he was able to easily defeat 3 soul ancestors and 4 soul exalts working together. Now, I don't even know how strong he's become. Do you think it'll be difficult? How is that possible? When she said that, not only Xiao Wu, but even Tang San was a little dumbfounded. This kind of battle record was too terrifying. Furthermore, it was 2 years ago. How terrifying was Lu Yuan now? This guy was clearly the same age as him. Tang San felt powerless in his heart. Ever since he was defeated twice by Lu Yuan was the goal he had been striving to catch up to. But now, he realized that this goal was getting farther and farther away from him. Was he going to be left far behind by Lu Yuan in this lifetime? No. Tang San's heart was suddenly filled with an intense unwillingness. He definitely wouldn't give up like this. He had to win today's test. Chapter 250. Then what's your martial soul? Tang San calmed himself down and asked Ning Rongrong. My martial soul is the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. My soul power is at rank 27. Ning Rongrong said. 7 treasures glazed pagoda? You're from the 7 treasures glazed sect? Tang San looked at Ning Rongrong with astonishment in his eyes, and his confidence slowly rose. The 7 treasures glazed pagoda was the number 1 auxiliary type martial soul in the world. This was what the master had told him. It greatly boosted a soul master's fighting strength. With Ning Rongrong and his own hidden weapons, he was confident that he could hold on for the time it took to burn an incense stick. Yes, but I actually snuck out. I'm no different from everyone else. Ning Rongrong said playfully. Then let's discuss. Both of you know Lu Yuan, so you should know something about his soul skills. Tang San looked at the two of them, and his gaze was especially focused on Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing and Lu Yuan were so close, so she definitely knew a lot. I don't know much about this. 2 years ago, Lu Yuan was only at rank 29, and his fighting strength was already very strong. I'm not too sure about his soul skills. I think one increases strength, one increases defense, and he also has a very powerful soul bone. As for the rest, I'm not too sure. Ning Rongrong said. Then, she added, he's very strong and he's very fast. He's even faster than an agility-type soul master of the same rank. She recalled Lu Yuan's ethereal figure. His speed was really faster than an agility-type soul master. As for the rest, I think she should know more. Ning Rongrong looked at Zhu Zhuqing. Tang San and Xiao Wu also cast their gazes over. Zhu Zhuqing hesitated for a moment. She didn't know if she should say it. These things were Lu Yuan's secret. It's okay. Just say it. Just as Zhu Zhuqing was hesitating, Lu Yuan's voice entered her ears. To Lu Yuan, it didn't matter even if others knew about his soul skills. No one knew about his true trump cards, such as the Poseidon's halberd technique, the Polychoria's pupil technique, the secret character, the dark golden terrorclaw, and so on. The so-called soul skills were only things that he revealed on the surface. Zhu Zhuqing nodded and said, I haven't seen him for more than 2 years. What's his level now? I'm not sure what soul skills they are, but I do know the effects of his first 2 soul skills. His first soul skill is called Golden Dragon Fist. It increases his strength by 100% and his speed and defense by 50%. As his rank increases, his strength will increase by 10% and his speed and strength will increase by 5% for every 10 rank. My second soul skill is called Golden Dragon War Body. It increases my defense by 200% and makes me immune to all control-type skills. External Soul Bone Golden Dragon Armor, immune to all negative statuses, including burns, frostbite, slowness, poison, and so on. His movement technique is called the Phoenix Dance 6 Illusions. His speed is extremely fast and he can create 6 clones. It's very mysterious. As for the rest, I'm not too sure. Zhu Zhuqing said softly. These were things that Lu Yuan had told her when he was bored. At that time, she would lie in Lu Yuan's arms every night. Lu Yuan would sometimes talk to her about interesting things, including his soul skills, soul bones, and so on. He didn't hide anything from her. Therefore, she had always remembered these things. As for Lu Yuan's dual pupils, she didn't mention them. This involved Lu Yuan's true secret. After all, in her eyes, this was Lu Yuan's second martial soul. It was extremely important, so how could she tell a few people she had just met? Moreover, with Lu Yuan's strength, this test was definitely just for fun. After all, with her here, there was no way he wouldn't let them pass. Immune to all negative statuses and control-type skills? Tang San's eyes were somewhat sluggish. Wasn't this a natural counter to him? His blue-silver grass only had 2 paths of development. One was toughness and the other was poison. He walked the path of control-type skills, so this was a complete counter. Moreover, a large part of his hidden weapons relied on poison, which basically crippled his strength by more than half. To be honest, Tang San's mood was a little shaken. This was just like how the Blazing Academy found out that Tang San's blue-silver grass was immune to fire. They didn't curse because their tempers were good. An assault-type soul master immune to control-type skills was the nightmare of all control-type soul masters. If he, a control-type, encountered Lu Yuan, what was the point of fighting? To be honest, Tang San suddenly had an impulse to cultivate the clear sky hammer, although it was only a little. Could it be that the Golden Dragon martial soul is so strong? Tang San couldn't help but think. Of course, Lu Yuan didn't know what Tang San was thinking. Otherwise, he would definitely say that the golden dragon was naturally powerful, but without the golden armored dragon tortoise, he wouldn't have been able to obtain such a top-grade soul skill. One had to know that the golden armored dragon tortoise was probably the last one in the entire continent. How could a soul beast with the golden dragon's bloodline be ordinary? This soul skill was produced by the combination of the two. After hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, not to mention Tang San, even Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu were shocked. This was simply a control-type soul master killer. A control-type soul master would die if they encountered him. And this Tang San in front of them was obviously a control-type soul master. Thinking of this, Ning Rongrong looked at Tang San with a trace of sympathy. What an unlucky guy. It was obvious that after hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, the three of them, including Tang San, lost some of their confidence. Don't worry, I won't use any soul skills, and I won't even use my martial soul. If you can force my martial soul out, you'll pass. I'll add one more thing, my current level is rank 46. When the three of them were silent, Lu Yuan's indifferent voice sounded. Rank 46. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked, including Zhao Wuji. Brat Yuan, you're rank 46? Zhao Wuji looked at Lu Yuan in surprise. Actually, I reached rank 40 a long time ago, but I've been suppressing it. I just obtained a soul ring a few days ago, and I broke through to rank 46, Lu Yuan said calmly. Great! Zhao Wuji slapped his thigh and said, I was wondering why you didn't appear on campus for the whole day 3 days ago. So you went to obtain a soul ring. Not bad, but you're quite fast. You can make a round trip in a day? Although Shrek Academy wasn't very far from the Great Star Do Forest, it wasn't close either. Even with his speed, he couldn't make a round trip in a day. Lu Yuan could actually do it, so he must have an expert behind him. However, it made sense when he thought about it. How could a freak like Lu Yuan not have any support behind him? 10,000-year soul beasts weren't easy to hunt. I naturally have my own channels. Lu Yuan smiled faintly and didn't intend to explain. Zhao Wuji didn't ask further. After all, this involved Lu Yuan's privacy, and it wasn't convenient for him to ask too much. Chapter 251. Rank 46? Tang San was shocked once again. He felt that all the surprises in his life had been used up today. He's indeed abnormal. Ning Rongrong looked at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes. This person had really left his peers far behind. You're indeed my man. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan, her eyes full of pride and deep affection. It was so good to have met this man in this life. Since you're done discussing, let's begin. Lu Yuan said plainly as he looked at them. With a flip of his hand, an incense stick appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. With a light twist, the incense stick started to burn. With a light flick, it was inserted into the ground not far away and started to burn. Alright, then I'll assign the roles now. Xiao Wu and I will be in charge of the front. We'll pin down Lu Yuan. Zhu Zhuqing will attack from the side. Ning Rongrong, you'll assist us? Tang San said. Zhu Zhuqing nodded plainly. The four of them slowly walked in front of Lu Yuan and stood separately. Lu Yuan looked at them plainly as his white robe fluttered. Begin! Tang San shouted loudly. 7 treasures, glazed glass. Ning Rongrong shouted, and the 7 treasures glazed pagoda appeared in her hand. It emitted a beautiful light, and 2 yellow soul rings slowly rippled above it. Martial soul possession. The other 3 people also possessed their martial souls, and their bright soul rings were released one after another. Xiao Wu go! Tang San ordered. He and Xiao Wu pounced towards Lu Yuan at the same time. Zhu Zhuqing's figure flashed, and her clear blue eyes flashed. She quickly attacked Lu Yuan. 7 treasures, 1 day's strength. 7 treasures, 2 days' speed. The 7 treasures glazed pagoda emitted a bright light that shone on the 3 of them. Lu Yuan laughed lightly. He didn't react to their attacks and just stood there calmly. Suddenly, several strands of blue-silver grass shot out from the ground and coiled around Lu Yuan. At the same time, Xiao Wu's figure pounced towards Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan lightly stomped his foot, causing a wave of air to surge up. The ground immediately cracked, and the blue-silver grass that was coiling around him was directly torn into pieces by the wave of air. Lu Yuan's figure flashed, and before Xiao Wu's waist bow could be activated, Lu Yuan grabbed her leg and threw her towards Tang San. But he reached back with his right hand and grabbed Zhu Zhuqing's wrist. Under Zhu Zhuqing's surprised expression, he smiled and threw Zhu Zhuqing out. "Don't play these little tricks, don't waste my time." In his eyes, the attacks of Tang San and the others were like child's play, and there was really nothing worth pointing out. Blue-silver grass bind. Tang San used the ghost shadow perplexing track, and his figure floated up. Strands of blue-silver grass grew around Lu Yuan and coiled around Lu Yuan. Netherworld stab. Zhu Zhuqing's figure suddenly appeared in front of Lu Yuan. Her sharp claws flashed with a cold light as she clawed towards Lu Yuan. Although it was still the same netherworld stab, the power of this soul skill had increased by a lot after the evolution of his martial soul. Hee. Lightly dodging Zhu Zhuqing's attack, Lu Yuan felt a rare interest in his heart. He wanted to see where Zhu Zhuqing's limit was. He was really curious about Zhu Zhuqing's true fighting strength. Lu Yuan lightly stomped his feet. His speed wasn't fast, but he was able to dodge all of Zhu Zhuqing's attacks every time. He had already practiced the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions to the point of perfection. Right now, every step he took was filled with subtlety, and just happened to match Zhu Zhuqing's attack methods. Suddenly, Lu Yuan's figure stopped, and a strand of blue-silver grass rose up and coiled around him. Humph! Lu Yuan snorted. With a light shake, the blue-silver grass that coiled around him immediately broke apart. With the current toughness of Tang San's blue-silver grass, it was undoubtedly a fool's dream to try and bind Lu Yuan, who had a strength of 65,000 kilograms in his normal state. Lu Yuan only needed to use a bit of strength, and the blue-silver grass wouldn't be able to withstand the enormous force and would break apart. The shattering of one's martial soul actually had an effect on one's physical body. As the blue-silver grass broke apart one after another, Tang San, who was connected to it, couldn't help but snort lightly. He had suffered some minor injuries. "Lu Yuan, look here." Suddenly, a voice sounded in his ear. Lu Yuan subconsciously turned his head. Suddenly, Xiao Wu's second soul ring lit up. Her eyes were suffused with a red light, and a faint trace of temptation flickered. It was Xiao Wu's second soul skill charm. Lu Yuan's polychoria and Xiao Wu's charm directly faced each other. Lu Yuan didn't have any reaction, but Xiao Wu seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. Blood flowed from her ears and nose at the same time. This was because her spiritual power had suffered a backlash. It had to be known that even Hulina's charm had no effect on Lu Yuan, but Xiao Wu actually dared to use her charm on him. His spiritual power was even higher than Zhao Wuji's, and was already close to that of a soul Douluo. In the original work, using it on Zhao Wuji would cause a backlash, let alone him. Xiao Wu. Seeing Xiao Wu's appearance, Tang San immediately cried out in alarm, and a blood-red color rose up in his eyes. "She's fine. It's just that the difference in spiritual power is too great, so there's a backlash. She'll be fine after resting for a night," Lu Yuan said indifferently. Tang San was silent. He placed Xiao Wu to the side and turned to face Lu Yuan. A murderous aura surged from his body, and with a swing of his right hand, streaks of cold light flew towards Lu Yuan. Seeing this, Lu Yuan frowned and gently pushed Zhu Zhuqing to the side. These hidden weapons didn't distinguish between friend and foe, and some of them were even poisonous. They weren't a threat to him, but they were a little dangerous to Zhu Zhuqing. At the same time, anger surged in his heart. "I can understand your anger when Xiao Wu is injured, But you actually dare to use hidden weapons when Zhu Zhuqing is still by my side? She's still your teammate. Aren't you worried about accidentally injuring her? Perhaps in Tang San's opinion, Zhu Zhuqing was someone Lu Yuan loved, and Lu Yuan definitely wouldn't let her get hurt. Or maybe it was because they met by chance and didn't have any friendship, so Tang San simply didn't consider Zhu Zhuqing as his teammate. But no matter what the reason was, Lu Yuan was very angry, because this indirectly harmed Zhu Zhuqing. He clenched his fists so tightly that they cracked. If I don't beat you half to death today, I, Lu Yuan, will write my name backwards. Seeing the hidden weapons coming towards him, a disdainful smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face. They might be useful against Zhao Wuji because he was slow and clumsy, but to him, they weren't a threat at all. Golden light flashed in his hand, and the golden dragon spear appeared. With a swing of the spear, the golden dragon spear swept away all of the hidden weapons like a tidal wave. Unorthodox methods. Lu Yuan stomped his foot heavily, and his body shot forward like an arrow. Slap! The golden dragon spear struck down all of Tang San's arrows, and Tang San's body instantly split into 6, which surrounded Tang San's body tightly. The spear directly swung onto Tang San's body, and directly lifted him up. Then, Ling Tian heavily struck Tang San's chest, and Tang San instantly spat out a large mouthful of blood. When Lu Yuan truly unleashed his true strength, Tang San couldn't even retaliate in his current state. Although Zhao Wuji was put in a difficult position by Tang San in the original novel, Zhao Wuji wasn't serious at all. Otherwise, Tang San wouldn't even have had the chance to use hidden weapons. He wasn't Zhao Wuji, and when he was angry, he wouldn't hold back. Furthermore, this guy's hidden weapons even included Zhu Zhuqing. He wasn't angry that Tang San used hidden weapons against him, but if he dared to threaten Zhu Zhuqing, he would let Tang San know what cruelty was. Chapter 252. Tang San's body crashed heavily onto the ground, and blood poured out of his mouth. Lu Yuan didn't show any mercy. That strike had broken at least 4 or 5 of Tang San's ribs. Even his internal organs might have been damaged. After glancing at Tang San, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog, Lu Yuan turned around and left. He glanced in a certain direction, where a black-robed figure flashed past. Interesting. Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. I was afraid that you wouldn't come. After seeing that there was still a third of the incense stick left, Lu Yuan turned to Ning Rongrong and asked, "Do you still want to continue? No more fighting, no more fighting." Ning Rongrong hurriedly waved her hands and took 2 steps back. Lu Yuan's actions had really frightened her. Why was he suddenly so ruthless? "What about our test?" Zhu Zhuqing asked softly. "You've passed. This kid used his golden dragon spear. That's against the rules." Zhao Wuji's voice sounded. He knew Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear very well. It was very powerful. Even his defense was like paper in the face of the golden dragon spear. Therefore, he didn't dare to let Lu Yuan get close to him. Otherwise, he would be pierced by the spear. Sometimes, Zhao Wuji even suspected that this weapon wasn't something that could be forged by a human. It was much more powerful than ordinary soul bones. "Why are you so ruthless?" Zhao Wuji asked softly. Lu Yuan's actions just now were a little unusual. Why did he suddenly feel like he was angry? He's courting death. Not only did he use those despicable hidden weapons, he even dared to use them on Zhuqing. I've already shown mercy. Otherwise, he would have been crippled today, Lu Yuan said. Zhao Wuji nodded. He didn't like Tang San's use of hidden weapons. For assault-type soul masters, a battle should be fair and square. Tang San wanted to use these despicable things to trick others, and even included his own teammate. This was a little too much. Therefore, he understood why Lu Yuan was so ruthless. If you can go crazy for the person you love, then others can also beat you up for the person they love. Zhao Wuji's eyes weren't blurry yet. He could still see the relationship between Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing. Then what about this kid? Zhao Wuji pointed at Tang San. Tang San's injuries weren't light. Even if he was treated by a healing-type soul master, he would still have to lie in bed for a few days. I'll leave it to you. Take him to the doctor. I'll pay for it. Lu Yuan took out a bag of gold coins and tossed it to Zhao Wuji. He knew that Shrek Academy was very poor, and it wouldn't be good for the academy to pay for the injuries he had caused. That's it then. You take these girls to the girls' dormitory. I'll take this brat to Soto City. It's all Xiao Xian's fault. I don't know where he went. Otherwise we could save some money. Zhao Wuji scolded. Xiao Xian was a food-type soul sage. His healing soul skill was more than enough to treat Tang San's injuries. As for Oscar, his rank was still too low, so his healing soul skill wasn't very effective. After hearing Zhao Wuji's words, Lu Yuan's mouth twitched. So he was spending his own money? His heart was aching. Zhu Qing, go and carry Xiao Wu. Lu Yuan said to Zhu Zhuqing. You're a guy. Shouldn't you carry her? Zhu Zhuqing didn't say anything, but Ning Rongrong asked. If Zhu Qing is willing to let me carry another girl in front of her, then I'm fine with it. Lu Yuan glanced at Zhu Zhuqing and laughed. Humph! Zhu Zhuqing snorted softly. She walked to Xiao Wu's side and carried her. She used her actions to prove her attitude. Seeing this, Lu Yuan chuckled. This little kitten was indeed a little tsundere. But he liked it. Follow me. I'll bring you to the girls' dormitory. Lu Yuan walked in front. Zhu Zhuqing carried Xiao Wu and followed behind him. Ning Rongrong followed closely behind Zhu Zhuqing. Lu Yuan, how did your strength increase so quickly? You were only rank 29 2 years ago. Now you're already rank 46. That's a jump of 17 ranks. How did you cultivate? Ning Rongrong was very puzzled. She really wanted to figure this out. His cultivation speed was too terrifying. I just had some miraculous encounters. Lu Yuan couldn't be bothered to talk about his experiences. Ning Rongrong wasn't related to him. Of course, if Zhu Zhuqing asked him in private, he would naturally answer. Oh! After receiving such a perfunctory answer, Ning Rongrong lowered her head and didn't say anything. She just followed behind Lu Yuan. Not long after, Lu Yuan brought them to the girls' dormitory. Here, this is a double room. Ning Rongrong, you and Xiao Wu can stay here. Lu Yuan said and nodded to Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing put Xiao Wu on the bed and covered her with a blanket. Then, she asked, is she okay? Her voice was a little cold, but there was a trace of concern. Lu Yuan glanced at Zhu Zhuqing. Even after more than 2 years of experience, Zhu Zhuqing was still the kind-hearted girl from back then. When Zhu Zhuqing was chased by the blood-winged golden mosquitoes and saw him, she would rather die than lead the blood-winged golden mosquitoes to him. It was also from that moment that Lu Yuan was a little surprised and had a good impression of this girl. In the end, they got together. It's okay. She just suffered a mental backlash from using the charm skill on me. She'll be fine after resting for a night. Lu Yuan rubbed Zhu Zhuqing's head and smiled. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing nodded softly. Then I'll have to trouble you to take care of her for a while. Zhu Qing and I will leave first. Lu Yuan said to Ning Rongrong. Isn't Zhu Zhuqing staying here? Ning Rongrong asked. I have my own arrangements for Zhu Qing's accommodation, Lu Yuan said plainly. He pulled Zhu Zhuqing's hand and walked out. Lu Yuan didn't seem to be in a hurry to find a place for Zhu Zhuqing to stay. He held her hand and strolled around Shrek Academy. Speaking of which, where did you find a place for me to stay? We've been walking for so long. Zhu Zhuqing lifted her head and looked at Lu Yuan doubtfully. Where are you staying? You're staying with me. Lu Yuan pinched Zhu Zhuqing's nose and smiled. Ah! Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan in shock. That's not good. Why? You don't want to stay with me? We used to sleep in the same tent. Lu Yuan looked at Zhu Zhuqing expressionlessly and asked. No, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that this is the academy. It's not very good. Zhu Zhuqing thought that Lu Yuan was angry when she saw his expressionless face. Haha, I'm just teasing you. Lu Yuan chuckled when he saw Zhu Zhuqing's anxious look and said, I just want to walk around with you alone. Your place isn't far from mine. I built that house especially for you. Chapter 253. He knew that Zhu Zhuqing would come this year, so he naturally wouldn't let Zhu Zhuqing share a room with others. There were many rooms in Shrek Academy, but there weren't many in good condition. Apart from a few dormitories, the rest of the rooms could be used as storerooms, but they were a little shabby for people to live in. So a long time ago, Lu Yuan built a small wooden house for Zhu Zhuqing, not far from his own wooden house. He built it all by himself. With his strength and intelligence, building a small wooden house wasn't a piece of cake. Really? Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan with sparkling eyes. Her heart was filled with sweetness. Not only was this man reliable, but he also knew how to dote on others. He was really good to her. When she was training on the continent, he used the power of the entire continent's martial soul branch hall to protect her. Now that they were in Shrek Academy, he knew that she liked peace and quiet, and he even built a small wooden house for her. Zhu Zhuqing was really touched. Let's go, I'll take you to see your house. Lu Yuan chuckled. He held Zhu Zhuqing's hand and walked towards their house. How is it? Are you satisfied? Lu Yuan asked with a smile as he looked at the exquisite wooden house in front of him. Yes, I'm very satisfied. Thank you, Lu Yuan. Looking at the simple but not simple wooden house, Zhu Zhuqing liked it very much. It was nice to be alone and quiet. That's my wooden house. We're very close. Lu Yuan smiled as he pointed to another wooden house about 30 meters away. This place was a rare quiet place in Shrek. The vegetation was quite lush, and Lu Yuan liked it. He thought that with Zhu Zhuqing's character, she would like it too. Therefore, he built another wooden house for Zhu Zhuqing next to his own wooden house. As for the Academy's opinion, after Lu Yuan threw down 5,000 gold coins and guaranteed that he would pay for the materials for the wooden house, Flender didn't have any objections. Yes. Looking at Lu Yuan's wooden house not far away, Zhu Zhuqing nodded slightly, a trace of a smile on her somewhat cold face. Lu Yuan gently stroked Zhu Zhuqing's cheek. At this moment, no one was obstructing them. They could release their feelings to their heart's content. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes narrowed as Lu Yuan stroked her cheeks. She grabbed Lu Yuan's hand tightly. Hugging Zhu Zhuqing's waist, Lu Yuan gently sealed Zhu Zhuqing's red lips, savoring the sweet fragrance from Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing also responded enthusiastically, telling her how much she missed Lu Yuan. 15 minutes later, Zhu Zhuqing lay docilely in Lu Yuan's arms. She had a tranquil expression on her face, just like before. Gently playing with Zhu Zhuqing's hair, Lu Yuan gently kissed Zhu Zhuqing's forehead and asked, Zhuqing, can you tell me how you've been all these years? He was very curious about Zhu Zhuqing's experiences. Although there were some news from the Martial Soul Palace sometimes, it was very one-sided. How could it compare to Zhu Zhuqing's personal narration? Yes. Zhu Zhuqing gently nodded. Then, she slowly told Lu Yuan about her experiences over the years. Zhu Zhuqing spoke very calmly, but Lu Yuan could feel the danger and hardships under this calmness. It seemed like Zhu Zhuqing's current cultivation was exchanged with hard work and struggle. It's been hard on you, Zhuqing. After hearing Zhu Zhuqing's experiences, Lu Yuan felt a little heartache. He tightly hugged Zhu Zhuqing's delicate body and lovingly stroked Zhu Zhuqing's cheek. What about you? Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's abilities had crossed 17 ranks in 2 years. This was a little shocking. To be able to achieve such progress, Lu Yuan's hard work must not have been inferior to hers. After hearing this, Lu Yuan also told Zhu Zhuqing about his experiences. This included challenging the Heaven Do Imperial Academy, befriending Ning Fengji, training in the Great Star Do Forest, joining Shrek Academy, and so on. Lu Yuan didn't hide anything from her, except for some secrets that involved Chihiro Snow and Gu Yuna. This included Long Xiaoyao's existence. After learning that there was an ultimate Douluo protecting Lu Yuan at all times, Zhu Zhuqing was astonished. That was an ultimate Douluo, a rank 99 ultimate Douluo. He was a legendary existence, but he was actually her man's subordinate. Zhu Zhuqing really felt that she couldn't see through this man in front of her. This man was always so mysterious. However, no matter how mysterious he was still her man. He was someone she could rely on. Zhu Zhuqing was filled with pride. Choosing Lu Yuan was the best decision she had made in her life. If there's a chance in the future, I'll bring you to cancel the marriage. No matter who tries to stop us, I'll get rid of them. If the Star Luo imperial family doesn't agree, I'll kill them all. After all, you, Zhu Zhuqing, can only belong to me in this life. Lu Yuan leaned against Zhu Zhuqing's ear and whispered. His tone was undeniably domineering. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing nodded gently. She was like a docile kitten. However, she was very happy and elated. To be able to fall in love with a man like Lu Yuan was enough for her. She didn't want anything else. Night fell. Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing chatted for a long time. After all, they hadn't seen each other for more than 2 years. They had endless things to talk about. They went to the cafeteria for dinner. Because they were too engrossed in chatting, they forgot the time. They didn't have any ingredients, so they could only eat in the cafeteria. However, Lu Yuan decided that he must let Zhu Zhuqing taste his cooking tomorrow. He still remembered that Zhu Zhuqing loved to eat his grilled fish. After dinner, they strolled around the campus. Then, the two returned to the wooden house. It was already dark. Zhu Zhuqing had just returned to her wooden house not long ago. Lu Yuan patted his palms lightly and prepared to start cultivating. Suddenly, a voice entered his ears. Come out. This was a rough voice with a trace of dominance. It could be imagined that the owner of this voice must be a muscular man, just like Zhao Wuji. Oh, he really came. Lu Yuan chuckled. He knew the owner of this voice better than anyone else. It was indeed extremely protective. He didn't distinguish between right and wrong at all. Of course, he was also such a person. Moreover, Lu Yuan was already prepared for this person. Gently opening the door, Lu Yuan walked out. In a small forest outside Shrek Academy, Lu Yuan's figure slowly appeared. Come out. As his figure landed, a black-robed man walked out. He held a sledgehammer in his hand. With every step he took, a soul ring appeared under his feet. With every step he took, a strong aura was released. Yellow, purple, black, and red soul rings flickered with dazzling light. At the same time, a heavy and violent aura pressed down on Lu Yuan like a mountain. Chapter 254. Lu Yuan's legs turned to jelly as he was suppressed by the black-robed man's domineering aura. That mountain-like aura was simply too frightening. This aura far exceeded that of the chrysanthemum Douluo and the ghost Douluo. It was even comparable to the golden crocodile's aura. What a vast heaven Douluo! The mountain-like aura pressed down on Lu Yuan's body, and made Lu Yuan feel as if he was suffocating. Even the bones in his body seemed to creak and groan. A titled Douluo's aura was enough to suppress an ordinary soul sage. Furthermore, Tang Hao was no ordinary titled Douluo. The pressure that his aura gave Lu Yuan was simply too great. After all, Lu Yuan was only rank 46. His current abilities were similar to Zhao Wuji's. Zhao Wuji couldn't withstand Tang Hao's pressure, and he naturally couldn't either. However, even though he couldn't resist Tang Hao's aura, there was no need for him to resist it. Lu Yuan's body suddenly emitted a dazzling blue light that spread out like water ripples. Tang Hao's imposing aura, which was as heavy as a mountain, could not resist at all in the face of this spreading blue wave and was completely expelled. The blue light didn't spread out more than 2 meters, but it still surrounded Lu Yuan. Tang Hao's violent aura was outside, but there was no pressure inside. Lu Yuan could even place his hands behind his back calmly. The vast heaven Douluo is indeed extraordinary. However, your aura is useless against me. Lu Yuan's expression was calm as he looked at Tang Hao. The vast sea cosmic shroud had many miraculous uses. With it protecting him, Tang Hao's aura couldn't do anything to him. Tang Hao couldn't help but exclaim when he saw the blue light on Lu Yuan's body expelling his aura. This kid in front of him wasn't simple. What was that blue light? Was it a domain? Tang Hao was a little perplexed as he looked at the blue waves of light that surrounded Lu Yuan. Even a domain shouldn't be able to resist his aura. After all, he was the vast sky Douluo. This kid was a little strange. Tang Hao thought to himself, but he was not going to stop. Tang Hao could not help but narrow his eyes when he saw that the kid obviously knew his identity. The great vast sky Douluo is bullying a junior like me in the middle of the night. Isn't that a little unreasonable? Lu Yuan said indifferently as he looked at Tang Hao. After hitting the young one, the old one will naturally avenge the young one. Isn't this the law of nature? Tang Hao said. Oh, it seems that Tang San from the day is your son. Interesting. So you intend to bully the young? Lu Yuan smiled lightly, but a trace of coldness flashed through his eyes. Bully the young? Tang Hao shook his head gently and said, Kid, let me teach you something. In this world, the weak are prey to the strong. The so-called rules are worthless. The fist is the law of the land. You severely injured my son in the day, so I'll do the same to you. Don't worry, I won't take your life. Tang Hao said. Haha, thank you very much. Lu Yuan laughed coldly. His eyes were filled with coldness. He and Tang Hao were of the same generation. Perhaps he was a little too heavy-handed, but he didn't expect Tang Hao to lower himself and deal with him personally. This was good too. Don't blame him for not holding back. Elder Long, did you hear what Tang Hao said? Lu Yuan looked at Tang Hao calmly and said softly. Master, I heard. Long Xiaoyao's figure instantly appeared in front of Lu Yuan. He looked at Tang Hao with a sharp gaze. He didn't leak any aura from his body, but he gave Tang Hao an indescribable sense of pressure. You are? Tang Hao was shocked when he saw Long Xiaoyao appear in front of him. He didn't sense his aura at all, and couldn't see through his abilities. He was the vast sky Douluo Tang Hao. There was actually someone in this world that he couldn't see through. Tang Hao felt a chill in his heart. He had a bad feeling. I am Long Xiaoyao. My title is the Dragon Emperor. Dragon Emperor Douluo? Tang Hao was stunned. He had never heard of this title before. Could he be an expert from a hidden sect? Long Xiaoyao had only appeared in the Heaven Do Imperial Academy so far. There were indeed people who recognized him, and his name naturally made its way into the ears of the various great powers. However, Tang Hao had been either in the Holy Soul Village or Noden City all these years. He naturally didn't know anything about Long Xiaoyao. Master, how should we deal with this person? Long Xiaoyao looked at Tang Hao. He was rank 95 and his aura wasn't bad. However, it was only not bad. It seemed like he was still injured. Long Xiaoyao didn't care about him at all. He said that he wouldn't kill me if he severely injured me, so I'll spare his life. I'll just beat him half to death. Lu Yuan waved his hand and said casually. Yes, master. Long Xiaoyao's body flashed with black light as he looked at Tang Hao. Dragon roars rang out, and the dark sky became even darker. A huge black dragon with 2 wings appeared behind Long Xiaoyao. 9 soul rings, yellow, yellow, purple, black, black, red, and red, rippled beneath Long Xiaoyao's body. This was the first time Long Xiaoyao had released his martial soul apart from his battle with Di Tian. It seemed like Long Xiaoyao was determined to beat up Tang Hao, who dared to bully his master. The harder one's fist is the most important thing? Let's see who's harder. 200,000-year soul rings, and this aura, he's an ultimate Douluo? Tang Hao revealed a look of shock on his sallow face. No wonder he couldn't sense this elder's abilities. He was an ultimate Douluo like his grandfather. Tang Hao revealed a determined look on his face. He knew that he had to give it his all. Otherwise, he would lose terribly. However, he didn't know that the outcome wouldn't change even if he unleashed his full strength. Clear sky body. Tang Hao's seventh soul ring lit up, and his clear sky hammer swelled into the size of a small hill. He smashed it towards Long Xiaoyao. Barely passable. Long Xiaoyao didn't use any soul skills. He only used his dragon claw to grab it. Bang! The dragon claw and the clear sky hammer clashed, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. Waves of energy rippled outwards like shock waves, destroying all the trees around them. Lu Yuan's vast sea cosmic barrier shone brightly and blocked the energy ripples. He was very far away from the battlefield, but he couldn't block the energy ripples by himself. He had to rely on his vast sea cosmic barrier to block them. His abilities were comparable to a soul sage. Indeed, a titled Douluo was a titled Douluo. No wonder they were the most powerful people in the Douluo continent. Not a bad attack, but it's a pity that it's still too weak. Long Xiaoyao's voice sounded. A huge black dragon claw slammed down on Tang Hao's body and slammed him into the ground. Chapter 255. The black dragon claw slammed Tang Hao into the ground like it was slapping an ant. As for why Long Xiaoyao could turn into a dragon claw without using any soul skills, it was very simple. It was because of dragon form. Even the blue lightning tyrant dragon had dragon form, what more the darkness holy dragon. As long as one had a pure-blooded dragon martial soul, there was no one who couldn't dragon form. Dragon form sounded very high-end, but it was only a basic skill for pure-blooded dragons like the Golden Dragon and the Darkness Holy Dragon. Of course, even though it was basic, it was still very powerful. Long Xiaoyao could use his dragon claw to slap Tang Hao's Haotian true body away. On one hand, it was because of his higher rank than Tang Hao. On the other hand, it was because of dragon form. Of course, it was also because of Long Xiaoyao's two soul cores. What was the biggest difference between a fighting two-soul master and a fighting one-soul master? It was the existence of soul cores. Soul cores could not only compress soul power and increase the quality of soul power, but they could also store soul power. A soul master with a soul core was much stronger than a soul master without a soul core of the same rank. It could be said that the three ultimate Douluo, Thousand Douluo, Tangchen, and Poseidon were no match for Long Xiaoyao if they didn't use their divine power and fought one-on-one, with the exception of Tangchen, who could explode his bracelet. Of course, Long Xiaoyao might be a little inferior if he used his divine power. This was especially so for Pasizi. She could even borrow the strength of the entire ocean in the Sea God's Hall. She might even be able to fight Di Tian, who used his dragon god's claw. She had even reached the demigod realm. In fact, Lu Yuan had always been very interested in the method of condensing a soul core. It was just that he wasn't powerful enough yet, and his spiritual power was also lacking. Condensing a soul core required a lot of spiritual power. According to his plan, he would only try to condense a soul core after his spiritual power reached the soul Douluo level. He wasn't in a hurry now. He already knew how to condense a soul core and had been studying it all this time. As for how he learned it, it was naturally taught by Long Xiaoyao. Tang Hao crawled up from the ground. He was covered in mud, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He was already injured, and Long Xiaoyao's slap had aggravated his old injuries. As he looked up at Long Xiaoyao, he knew that he was going to lose this time. However, even though he knew that he couldn't defeat Long Xiaoyao, He wasn't going to give up so easily. After all, he was Tang Hao, the vast sky Douluo Tang Hao. With the clear sky hammer in hand, Tang Hao charged towards Long Xiaoyao once again. This imposing manner was worthy of affirmation, but as for the result, bang! Another hole appeared on the ground. Long Xiaoyao gently swung his black dragon claws. His expression was calm and composed. Ha! Tang Hao exhaled gently. He felt the injuries on his body, and a fierce look flashed across his eyes. His first yellow soul ring suddenly exploded and turned into a yellow energy that was injected into the clear sky hammer. He charged towards Long Xiaoyao with a domineering aura. Explosive soul rings? That's interesting. Long Xiaoyao said softly. His fourth black soul ring suddenly lit up. Fourth soul skill, Black Dragon Holy Claw. Bang! Another shockwave surged, and a huge boom was heard. Lu Yuan's expression was calm. As he looked at Tang Hao, he didn't feel anything. While his explosive soul rings were strong, the gap between him and Long Xiaoyao was too big. Even if it was called a divine skill, so what? When the gap in abilities reached a certain level, no matter how many tricks one had, they couldn't break through everything with brute force. After being sent flying by Long Xiaoyao's claw once again, Tang Hao spat out blood. His second, third, and fourth soul rings actually exploded at the same time. The clear sky hammer carried an explosive aura as it charged towards Long Xiaoyao. This move is interesting. 3 soul rings exploded at the same time. This strength was relatively violent. However, it wasn't much of a threat to Long Xiaoyao. Furthermore, explosive soul rings were very harmful to one's body. This was especially so since Tang Hao was severely injured. If they continued to explode, he would definitely die. Their battle was too intense. Although they were a little far from Shrek, Flender and the others could definitely sense it. Flender opened his wings and rushed over with Zhao Wuji in his hand. The two of them naturally didn't dare to enter the battle between Long Xiaoyao and Tang Hao. With their abilities, the shock waves from their battle could kill them. Without the abilities of a titled Soul Master or above, it was impossible to get close to them. Flender's eyes were sharp. He immediately saw Lu Yuan and flew towards Lu Yuan. "What's going on?" Flender asked Lu Yuan. As he spoke, he glanced at the battle in the distance. His face was trembling a little. "What kind of gods are they? Their abilities are really impressive." "It's very simple. I beat up a guy in the day. At night, his father came to seek revenge. He fought with the people who were protecting me." Lu Yuan said softly. "You're saying that person is Tang San's father?" Zhao Wuji was shocked. Tang San actually had a titled Douluo for a father. That's the vast heaven Douluo? As he looked at the familiar vast heaven hammer and red soul rings, Flender suddenly thought of something. He couldn't help but glance at Lu Yuan. "What, the vast heaven Douluo?" Zhao Wuji was shocked. This was the vast heaven Douluo who dared to beat up the Pope. He didn't expect Tang San to be his son. Furthermore, from what Lu Yuan said, this vast heaven Douluo didn't even care about the dignity of a titled Douluo. He personally dealt with a junior. Wasn't that a little shameless? But from the looks of it, he seemed to have been beaten up. If the vast heaven Douluo was beaten up, how strong was that black-robed elder? Yes, it's him. Tang Hao, the so-called vast heaven Douluo. Lu Yuan said calmly. Then who is that black-robed elder? Flender's heart twitched as he looked at Long Xiaoyao's 200,000-year soul rings. Who was this elder? He actually beat the vast heaven Douluo to the ground. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Dean, don't tell me you've never heard of him before. Lu Yuan said. I have some impression of him. Flender stroked his sharp chin. He seemed to be familiar with the title of the Dragon Emperor Douluo. While Flender was thinking, the battle on the field had already reached its climax. Vast Heaven Hammer, Chaotic Cloak. Tang Hao's 5, 6, and 7 soul rings exploded at the same time. He unleashed his chaotic cloak wind hammer technique. The strength of this attack was probably at rank 98. In addition to the chaotic cloak, its strength couldn't be underestimated. The enormous hammer carried a black tail of flames as it swept towards Long Xiaoyao. Martial Soul True Body. Long Xiaoyao transformed into a huge black dragon. He roared into the sky, and his huge black dragon tail swung towards the vast heaven hammer. Bang! This huge sound was earth-shattering. The shockwaves from the explosion blew Flender and Zhao Wuji away. Even Lu Yuan took more than 10 steps back under the protection of his vast sea cosmic barrier before he could stabilize himself. Chapter 256. Long Xiaoyao unleashed his true abilities after unleashing his martial soul true body. How strong was an ultimate Douluo? It was something that an ordinary titled Douluo couldn't imagine. Tang Hao's attack was comparable to the Golden Crocodile's attack after his 5, 6, and 7 soul rings exploded at the same time. It was definitely at rank 98. To be able to surpass a transcendent Douluo by 3 ranks, one had to admit that Tang Hao's exploding soul rings was indeed impressive. There was a huge gap between the ultimate Douluo and those below it. Once an ultimate Douluo got serious, those below the ultimate Douluo would quickly be defeated. Unless a rank 98 peak Douluo could comprehend the power of the spirit realm, they wouldn't be able to fight an ultimate Douluo. However, there wasn't anyone in the Douluo continent who could comprehend the power of the spirit realm. There were very few people who could comprehend the concept of the spirit realm. The black dragon's tail collided with the clear sky hammer's body and caused an explosion in the air. Following this, the black dragon's tail tore through the clear sky hammer's attack. The clear sky hammer in Tang Hao's hand was sent flying, and the black dragon's tail slammed into Tang Hao's body. Tang Hao immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Many of his bones were broken, and he was embedded in the ground. He couldn't stop vomiting blood. His originally waxy yellow face had become as golden as paper. This time, he was really beaten half to death. Long Xiaoyao slowly descended. He looked at Tang Hao, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog. His expression didn't change at all. He walked towards Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan slowly retracted his vast sea cosmic shroud. Although this shroud could ignore the suppression of auras, it still depended on Lu Yuan's own abilities when it came to true energy impact. The shockwave from earlier was simply far too powerful. Even though Lu Yuan had the vast sea cosmic shroud to protect him, he was still forced back more than 10 steps. One had to realize that his strength was comparable to that of a soul Douluo, and he had the vast sea cosmic shroud to protect himself. Furthermore, he was a relatively high-tier soul Douluo. However, he was still pushed back by the shockwave. One could imagine how powerful the shockwave was and how intense the battle between the two was. Master! Long Xiaoyao walked in front of Lu Yuan and ignored Flender and Zhao Wuji. Elder Long, what happened to Tang Hao? Is he dead? Lu Yuan asked. Of course not. Long Xiaoyao shook his head and said, however, he's severely injured. He'll have to lie in bed for at least half a month before he can get out of bed. It's impossible for him to fully recover, and he can't use his full strength in the future. Otherwise, he'll die without a doubt if his old injuries are triggered. Oh! Lu Yuan nodded gently. In that case, Tang Hao was really crippled. He was already severely injured, and he even dared to blow up his soul rings when he fought me. His body is already severely injured. I even broke a few of his ribs. In the future, he can only unleash the strength of a titled Douluo if he suppresses his injuries. Once he exceeds that, his passageways will be severed. Even a god won't be able to save him. Long Xiaoyao said plainly, this is still because his soul power is domineering, and he can suppress his injuries. However, it seems like he can't suppress them for much longer. His injuries are going to backfire. Furthermore, there's basically no healing-type soul master who can heal him. Unless Elder Baiji helps him? Lu Yuan asked. Yes, but Baiji won't help him. Di Tian won't allow it. Long Xiaoyao said. Yes. Lu Yuan nodded. Although Di Tian was very polite to him, that was because of Gu Yuna's orders and his own bloodline. Di Tian himself hated humans. Although Bicky was kind-hearted, she still had to listen to Di Tian. It was basically impossible for him to save Tang Hao. Unless Lu Yuan helped him, there might be a chance. However, Tang Hao was the Martial Soul Palace's eternal enemy. Lu Yuan was already being merciful by not killing him. Why would he save him? Flender and Zhao Wuji were confused when they heard Lu Yuan and Long Xiaoyao's words. What Di Tian? What Baiji? They had never heard of them before. However, they were clear about one thing. The vast sky Douluo was almost crippled. At least, he was half crippled. In the future, he could only fight with ordinary titled Douluo. Once he used strength that exceeded that level, his body would collapse. A look of sympathy flashed across Zhao Wuji's eyes as he looked at Tang Hao in the small hole in the distance. During the day, your son was beaten up until he vomited blood. A few of his ribs were broken, and he had to be bedridden for a week. At night, you were beaten up again. You have to be bedridden for at least half a month. The two of you are really unlucky. However, it's your own fault for finding trouble. It's fine if your son is beaten up. He'll be fine after being bedridden for a week. As a titled Douluo, Tang Hao actually lowered his face to find trouble with a soul ancestor. Now, he's beaten up so badly that even his mother can't recognize him. Not only will he have to be bedridden for more than half a month, his strength will also decrease. In the future, he'll have to bear injuries that won't heal. He's really asking for trouble. Zhao Wuji had a look of sympathy on his face. However, he didn't know that if it weren't for Lu Yuan, he would have been beaten up by Tang Hao tonight. It was Lu Yuan's appearance that prevented him from being beaten up. Let's go, Elder Long. Lu Yuan didn't look at Tang Hao's miserable state. He turned and left. Looking at the two of them leaving, Zhao Wuji asked Flender, Boss, what about the vast sky Douluo? Find a villager and settle him down. We can't let a titled Douluo lie here. Flender rubbed his chin gently. What about after that? After what? Flender asked doubtfully. Don't we need to treat his injuries? Zhao Wuji asked. Treat his injuries? Flender looked at Zhao Wuji like he was looking at an idiot. Do you have money? No. Zhao Wuji shook his head. Then why are you talking about treating his injuries? Treating injuries doesn't cost money. Furthermore, Flender changed the topic and said, Didn't you hear what the Dragon Emperor said? The vast sky Douluo's injuries can't be treated. Why waste money? Anyway, a titled Douluo's body is strong. He won't die. Just leave him there. Flender said indifferently. Anyway, he wasn't the one who injured Tang Hao. He didn't have the ability to do so. Settling him down was already extremely benevolent. Who asked him to bully the weak? He deserved it. No matter what, Lu Yuan was already a student of Shrek Academy. Tang Hao bullied the weak. Furthermore, he bullied his own student. Flender was already unhappy. How could he still treat Tang Hao? He wasn't a nanny. Furthermore, Tang Hao was a titled Douluo. He could just lie down for half a month. Anyway, he wouldn't die. Taking care of his meals for half a month was already extremely benevolent. Chapter 257. Knock knock. Soft knocks could be heard from outside the wooden hut. Lu Yuan was immediately jolted awake from his meditation. He was a little late yesterday because of Tang Hao's matter, so he spent a little more time meditating today. Creak. He opened the door gently, and Zhu Zhuqing's cold face entered his sight. Good morning, Zhuqing. Lu Yuan's eyes lit up when he saw Zhu Zhuqing, who was already dressed up. Good morning. Why are you up so late today? Zhu Zhuqing was a little confused. Lu Yuan usually woke up very early. Something happened last night, so I woke up late. Lu Yuan held Zhu Zhuqing's hand and pulled her into the wooden hut. After that, he told her everything that happened last night. He also told her about how long Xiaoyao beat up Tang Hao. The vast heaven Douluo is actually so shameless? Zhu Zhuqing was a little angry. A titled Douluo was actually willing to lower himself to deal with a soul ancestor. He was really shameless. This is the tradition of the Clear Sky sect. They're always protecting their own. It's not just the Clear Sky sect. Their subsidiary family, the Clan of Strength, is also a classic example. When you beat up the young, the old comes. However, with Elder Long around, he's the only one who's unlucky. The so-called vast heaven Douluo is almost crippled. Lu Yuan smiled and said, Yes, as long as you're fine. Zhu Zhuqing said softly. She didn't care about the vast heaven Douluo. Whether he was dead or alive had nothing to do with her. In her heart, it was enough as long as Lu Yuan was safe. Of course I'm fine. Zhuqing, take a seat first. I'll go and wash up. Lu Yuan said. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing replied softly. After washing up, Lu Yuan held Zhu Zhuqing's hand and walked towards the canteen. Almost everyone was there, including Dai Mubai. Of course, Tang San wasn't there. Tang San was still lying on the bed because he was still injured. On the other hand, Xiao Wu was present. Her face was still somewhat pale. However, the gaze she directed at Lu Yuan was filled with hostility. It was likely due to him injuring Tang San. Lu Yuan naturally ignored her gaze. He couldn't be bothered with a mere rabbit. Anyway, when the time came, she would know what cruelty was. What was the use of haggling over it now? Boss Yuan. Ma Hongjuan's eyes were sharp. He spotted Lu Yuan at a glance and immediately greeted him with a smile. Ning Rongrong raised her head, smiled at the two, and nodded. After one night, this girl seemed a little different. Lu Yuan knew that Ning Rongrong had feelings for him. He was not a blockhead, but he was really not interested in Ning Rongrong. So sometimes, he didn't pay much attention to her. As for what was going on in her head, he might not know. Unlike Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan's thoughts were all on her. When she frowned, Lu Yuan knew what she was worried about. With one look, he knew what she wanted to say. The two of them already had a tacit understanding between them. Of course, the one who had the best tacit understanding with Lu Yuan was still Chihiro Snow. Sometimes, when the two of them were together, no matter what he wanted to do, Chihiro Snow would be able to cooperate with him very well. Among his current women, Chihiro Snow's IQ should be the highest. Gu Yuna could only be considered half of it now because their relationship had not been completely confirmed yet. Gu Yuna's scheming was indeed top-notch, but her temperament was much simpler. Her understanding of human nature was not as good as Chihiro Snow's. Chihiro Snow really learned how to understand human nature from a young age. Sometimes, when facing Chihiro Snow, Lu Yuan would feel a little pressured because she was too smart. Smart women were not easy to fool. Cough cough. Back to the main topic. Seeing Lu Yuan's arrival, Oscar's face had a wretched smile. Lu Yuan, aren't you going to introduce this to us? Lu Yuan looked at him with amusement. His eyes looked around and said, Her name is Zhu Zhuqing, she's my girlfriend. Zhu Zhuqing, a good name, a nice name, and a beautiful person. Oscar giggled. Kacha. An ear-piercing sound was heard. Dai Mubai was holding a piece of wood in his hand, which was broken off from the table just now. Dai Mubai's face was very ugly. His pair of evil eyes looked back and forth between Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing. Lu Yuan naturally did not pay attention to him. If he dared to find trouble with him, then Lu Yuan would really think highly of him. Unfortunately, he did not have the gut. Sitting on the chair, he could only glare at the two of them. Is this the legendary gaze that can kill? Lu Yuan did not pay attention to Dai Mubai, and Zhu Zhuqing did not as well. To her, Dai Mubai was already a stranger. She only had Lu Yuan in her heart now. He was the one who abandoned Zhu Zhuqing first, so he could not blame Zhu Zhuqing and Lu Yuan for privately pledging their lives to each other. Everyone had the right to pursue happiness. Shocked by Dai Mubai's expression, Oscar felt that the atmosphere in the cafeteria seemed to be a little strange. Other than him and Fatty, everyone else's eyes seemed to be focused on Lu Yuan. One was full of hostility, one was a little bit of love, and one was deeply unfriendly. However, Lu Yuan's expression did not change. He pulled Zhu Zhuqing to sit down and quietly ate breakfast. To be honest, Oscar felt that it was a little awkward and at a loss for him to stay in such an environment. Moreover, the beautiful girl named Ning Rongrong seemed to have feelings for Lu Yuan. This made Oscar, who had just felt the budding of love, suffer a heavy blow. But fortunately, it was his first time meeting Ning Rongrong. He was only surprised by her looks, and it was not love yet. After being depressed for a while, he did not care about it anymore. He went to one side and ate breakfast with Ma Hongjun. "Come, Zhuqing, have an egg." Lu Yuan handed the white and tender egg in his hand to Zhu Zhuqing. Shrek Academy's breakfast had never been good, and eggs were considered a high-end ingredient. Zhu Zhuqing received the egg and ate it in small bites. She was a little shy with everyone's gazes, but after more than 2 years of experience, her temperament was no longer the same as before. She could bear with just a few gazes. Furthermore, with Lu Yuan beside her, she was exceptionally relaxed. She did not feel nervous at all. Seeing their intimate actions, Dai Mubai clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles cracked. His face was ashen. Zhu Zhuqing, his fiancée, was actually so close to another man. No wonder he felt that something was wrong when he heard the word kitten. It turned out that Lu Yuan's kitten was actually his fiancée. Dai Mubai only felt that his head seemed to have become much heavier. He wanted to find trouble with Lu Yuan and question them. However, when he thought of Lu Yuan's terrifying strength, Dai Mubai was a little hesitant. He was hesitant and could only look at the two of them unkindly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.